Me! There you go.
How's it going, buddy?
Not bad. That was pretty seamless that time. I'm getting better at it.
God, just see me.
That was funny, and I'll tell you what, the funniest thing was, it was me that forgot to turn my mic on. That was just ace.
Oh,
That was absolutely ace. That was brilliant. That was so much fun that
I
night.
thought I was having a breakdown.
No, that was funny. That was funny. He
How's
was on
things?
late tonight, weren't he, old Rev?
I was. I think he was enjoying the chat.
I've got a theory of why he was on so late. I've got a theory for it. Yeah. His missus doesn't need him now. She's got a big bag of snakes.
That's what it is. Aye. That's what it is.
That's what it is. Well, hello to everybody in the side chat. Who we got in there so far? Simon Brackett. Nobody else has spoken, even though we've got quite a few watching.
Yeah, there is a few. Click the like button, please, everybody.
Yes. Oh, yes. Hit the like the video. Blah, 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 blah. I'm going in autopilot then. Like the channel. Subscribe.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah. Class. Click like, comment, and subscribe. There you go.
Crumbly. Come on.
Crumbly. Hey up, Crumbly. Do you want to come and join us, Crumbly?
Yeah, if you've got the time. I've never been on with Crumbly. I would love to be.
Have you not? He's a lovely man, he's old Crumb.
Yeah, I watched the last time that Crumbly was on me. I couldn't come on because I had something to do. But I would Crumbly, come on. If you've got the time, pal.
I'll tell you, Crumbly is a friendly old Gandalf, isn't he? He really is.
Aye. Yeah. I've had a great connection with Crumbly over like my channel and the likes of the live streams and whatever. He always comments on everything
absolutely
I've got to do, and it's fully appreciated. It really is.
If you know Crumbly Mail's following you on YouTube, you know if you put a video up, he's going to comment.
Yep, absolutely.
Pretty much guarantee it. So you on the drink tonight, Stu, or are you behaving?
Behaving, but I'm still on the drink. yeah, it's a quiet one. Put it that way. I'm working tomorrow night, so I play bowls, so I'm on the committee of the bowling club. So part of that is that if we have social functions or that somebody's booked a hall, we need to work behind the bar. That's part of the. So it's like you're working for about, I don't know what it is per hour, but it's not minimum wage, nowhere near. But it's not about that. It's about raising the profile of the club and so on and so forth.
It's all about image.
Yeah, that's exactly
it. Promoting.
We say, for example, you were to book the hall for one of your relatives, like maybe a 21st or something like that. I would try and provide the best night that you've ever had. Nothing would be too much trouble. There wouldn't be an issue with tidying up at the end of the night and so on. We would do everything. We would cater for everything that you needed. Simply for the fact that if you could go on and tell one other person, go there and book a night, that's what we were aiming for. It's to try and sustain ourselves. So, because
it's all about promotion and the brand.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like as a bowling club is only, our bowling season is from April to September. So we make most of our money then. So over the winter months, it's quiet. The sort of bowling members drop away, and we do have a core set of members that maybe like come and they'll use the facilities and that, but we rely on outside functions. So
right, I've just got to go do this and welcome aboard. It's Mr. Crumbly Mal.
How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm good, mate. I'm good.
Yeah. I'm just going to quickly answer Simon's question there. When you go to rent a bike, a car, or anything in a foreign country, as long as you've got the license to drive that vehicle in your own country you're from, they will rent it to you.
Okay.
That's it. So if you've got a full motorbike license, full car license, full lorry license, or bus license, whatever it is, from the country you originate from, you can then rent whatever vehicle in that country you're visiting, and that's worldwide.
Well, that's interesting to know. So I mean, like obviously, like every country's sort of regulations are recognised worldwide.
They are.
It kind of
Especially
sets an international standard, then, doesn't it?
Yeah. Especially if you go to the likes of somebody like Avis and you want to rent a car, because the first time I went to America was in 2008, and I was very nervous about renting a car out there and nervous about driving on the wrong side of the road and how am I going to find my way around, etc., etc., etc. So I've got lots of anxiety going on.
Mm-hmm.
And when we eventually found Avis in JFK Airport in New York, when we eventually found them, I went in there, and that's when we had the plastic part of our license, but we also had a paper part of our license.
Yeah.
So I went in there I'd printed everything off, all my rental stuff and everything else, and all they needed was the first number that was on top of the 6 pages I printed off. You know? And she's gone on the system, and she said, "Right, now I need to see your license." I'm like, "Okay, well, here's my card, and here's the paper bit." And she went,
"What's the paper bit? What's that?"
And I said, "Well, that discloses any penalty points and things, and it's got my categories on it and everything else." And she went, "Oh, I don't need that bit.
Right.
Just tell me which bit on this is your driving license number." And when I went to Orlando and I rented a motorbike for the first time, I'm like, "Okay, I've got a full motorbike license in the UK. Can I rent one?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure." And I said, "Well, what are the rules?" And that's what they told me. They said, as long as you've got the license to drive that or ride that vehicle in your country you're from, you are qualified over here. The only time there's the grey areas is if you immigrate to that country, because you're only allowed to drive on your license for a certain amount of years. Now, for different countries, it varies. So
before they want you to amalgamate your licenses.
Yeah. So my sister-in-law moved to America when she was 18, and I think it was after the 10 years for America. It's 10 years she drove over there. She had to go and take a test.
Okay.
Otherwise, they would not allow her to drive anymore. Her UK license was then invalid.
So when she took a test in America, she had to stop using her indicators and go on her mobile phone constantly.
Yeah. She was allowed to text while driving, and she was allowed to talk, and she could cut people up, and it was all allowed. It was all allowed. But
so if you went somewhere then like that on a 2-month break or 3-month holiday, then what, you'd be stuffed? You couldn't drive?
No, you covered. You can drive because you're actually only on a break. You're not living there.
Oh, I see. So, right. If you take up residency, then yeah.
I think it's one of my old mail centre managers. He's got an actual residence in America. So because he's got a residence in America, he can then have a American bank account and all those sort of things, which makes it easier for him to go out spending money. So he transfers money to that bank account, and when he's out there, he's got spending money. But he has also taken the American test, so he's got an American license because he's got an American residence, permanent residence. So he's done all that. So he, at any time he wants, he can just say, "I'm giving up work now. I'm going to live over there," and he hasn't got to mess around. So he's done it all the right way.
Nice.
But as he said, he hasn't got a motorcycle license. So if he went out there and decided to buy a motorcycle, he'd have to do their motorcycle test, which I would, Zed would, and you would if we decided to move to America and ride a motorcycle.
Yeah.
So,
Does that work?
It's interesting.
In Europe, then, if you did it in Europe, or is that a different? I mean, if you
Europe was a different kettle of fish because we used to have a European driving license. Right. We now have a GB driving license.
Yeah.
So the same rules or similar rules are going to apply there. And I did read somewhere that Spain, now, if you live in Spain, that's it.
That's a euro.
Yeah. Mine says UK on it when I get it back from Swansea.
Mine's is due to be replaced next year, so of the UK flag on it now.
It's really easy if you've got a digital passport. You've got a digital passport?
Nope.
Yeah, No, all right.
No.
It's a lot harder then because you're going to have to change your photo and everything.
Yeah.
But I've got a digital passport. So what I did was when it came up to renew the photo on my license, because only lasts 10 years, I did it all online. I didn't have to send posters or pictures or anything. They literally lifted the image off my passport to my driving license.
Yeah, it's quite good that they're starting to go cross-platform with that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sort of holding off from going from the European license to the UK license because I think I might actually go from the European to the Scottish license. Going with what Nicholas.
Oh yeah, because you lot weren't happy with the last result, weren't you? So you're going to have another referendum.
That's right, because
I don't blame
because the thing about it is like the amount of reusable energy by hydro and wind power that we put into the national grid at 10 pence per kilowatt hour, that we are now having to pay 35 pence per kilowatt hour. We want some of that before it actually goes into the national grid. That's what happens.
From when we left Europe, Simon Brackett, it'd be from when we left Europe, which was, God, how many years ago was that now? 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whenever it was. When we left Europe, if you renewed your license, it was a UK or GB license now. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I got myself an Irish passport now, so
I got
one of them for 50 quid down the pub as well. My name's Jim Murphy.
and you're no better.
I want to buy a tag.
See, the thing about it is like you just to sort of put things into perspective, like we're talking like referendum and Scotland maybe possibly leaving the UK, which I don't think will happen, but that's not my conversation to have. But anyway, the last time that we had an independence referendum, the United Kingdom's government stated that one of the main reasons why Scotland should not leave the United Kingdom is you can't guarantee that we'll be able to rejoin the European Union. So a lot of people thought, you know what, that's actually quite a valid point. So we'll just vote to stay in the United Kingdom. And as soon as the independence referendum was finished, what was the next vote? Was to leave the EU.
Yeah.
And the percentage of people from Scotland that didn't want to leave the EU was like so high. And so like there was a lot of sort of things that were promised to the people.
I do it tongue in cheek when I say it, because I've always said if the government's not happy with what they've got, they have another vote until they get what they want, because that's how democracy works nowadays. And when the Scotland started coming out with Nicola Sturgeon, who incidentally her nickname is Seaweed, yeah, because when she was at school, even the tide wouldn't take her out, apparently. Sorry, I had to throw that one in there.
I didn't think she was that bad.
Yeah, she has.
Have you seen her high school picture? It was on the news once. It was like, I went, shit, even the tide wouldn't take her out. My miss was like, what? I said, yeah, seaweed, yeah.
The thing about it was like the UK government agreed for Scotland in 2014, I think it was, to have the independence referendum, and it was decided that if once the vote had, there'd be a once in a lifetime quote, once in a lifetime vote. Now, the thing about it is since then, the promises that were made for the no campaigners, none of them have been met. The UK government have not met any of the no campaigners promises. The promise to stay in the European Union, the promise. I mean, I could go. I'm not going to get political. I just don't want to do that because this isn't the time nor the place. But it makes it an interesting thing. It's like what is it that the United Kingdom want Scotland for? What is it that they want us for? We must be of some value, otherwise they would get rid of us.
Oil, whiskey, gas, whatever.
Yep.
Right
It's,
back.
it's for a big thing that I would say is the renewable energy.
Yeah.
We've got one of the best hydroelectric power generators in Europe.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
One of the biggest producers of wind energy as well. If you look at the percentage of energy that is actually put into Scotland's national grid as opposed to the United Kingdom's national grid, basically what's happening is the wind and hydro energy that we're generating is going straight into the grid, and then we're having to buy it back off of United Kingdom companies for a far more expensive price. And what Scottish people are saying is, why not sell it to us before you sell it to the national grid?
Well, yeah, it stands to reason you should have first dibs.
We're producing it.
Yeah,
so why shouldn't we have control over what happens to it?
Yeah.
Because from what I've read recently, if we were to do such a thing as to produce the energy and sell it on to Scotland first, the Scottish people could have our energy for 10 pence per kilowatt hour. Right now, we're getting the energy that we're producing that's going into the national grid and come back to us for 35 pence per kilowatt, and it is going up as well. So it's energy that's getting produced in Scotland, getting into the national grid and coming back again, that's getting an extra 25 to 30 pence attached to it.
The Scottish government has no say in that at all.
No, because it's a devolved parliament. There's certain legislative powers that they don't have, and energy prices is one of them. And this is why we want nationalism. This is why we want to separate away. It's being in control of your own destiny. It's not about the fact that you don't support the United Kingdom. It's not about that you don't support the monarchy. It's not about all the things that the press and the sort of national sort of the internet and social media and whatever would like you to believe. It's to be in control of your own destiny.
Yeah,
it's like Scotland. If Scotland were to go into the European Union in their own right,
they would prosper. They would
be within the top 10 richest countries.
Yeah,
in their own right. And just now, as it is, we can't flourish, we can't develop because we're governed. Now, I'll give you like a general election vote. London alone cancels out Scotland's vote, just per head of population. Cancels out Scotland's vote. There's only 5.5 million people in Scotland.
Wow. Yeah. You see, I think that the Catalans in Spain have got the same issue as you have.
Yeah.
They're the richest region in Spain.
Yeah.
And that's why they're getting held by the government, because they milk it, you know?
See the thing about it is as well, it's like I firmly believe that if Scotland were to go on their own, United Kingdom would prosper for the simple fact that any generation of capital and any sort of deals and whatever that Scotland brought in, it would be shared. I firmly believe it, because the United Kingdom, or England, Wales and Ireland, if they were still part of the Union, as it were, Scotland would trade very, very closely with them.
Of course.
So would if we brought in extra wealth, that extra wealth would be shared. I think it would be a fantastic thing for our country.
Yeah.
I don't think it would mean that Hadrian's Wall would be built. That's not going to happen.
No, that would be pointless, wouldn't it?
We're beyond that.
Yeah.
I think it's another way of the United Kingdom expanding their horizons.
Yeah. Yeah. It may. I mean, the UK. Well, saying not UK, England would be their closest trading partner and easiest trading partner.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you're not going to shut them out, are you?
No, of course you're not. Of course you're not. You wouldn't bite off your nose to spite your face.
Exactly.
So no, of course you wouldn't. But it may be that there's a lot of if Scotland were to be successful and to to sort of enter back into the European Union, it might be an easier trade route for England for stuff to come into Scotland to go to Europe.
Exactly. Yeah.
For the simple fact that Scotland and England could to have an open border, could agree an open border of some sort.
Yeah.
But
how's it working in with the Southern Ireland at the moment with the North then?
That's the issue, and that is the issue, and it is causing a lot of sort of it's raising or what I would say was opening a lot of old wounds when it came to the southern and northern situation in Ireland, with the fact, and it's this invisible border. And I can understand that when England when the United, I keep on saying England and I apologise for that, but when the United Kingdom decided that they were leaving Europe and they talked about the soft border, I agree that that's the right thing, because the Good Friday agreement should not be interfered with in any way.
No, I'm of a different opinion on that anyway, so I wouldn't go into that really, but for me, I think it should be united. And a lot of people don't think that, I know, so it seems sensible to me.
Yep, well, I mean, like, I would probably not probably. I would agree with you. I would agree with you. If we're going to be like United Kingdom, it's like, I don't think there should be any section of it that's alienated in any way.
No, there's no need to be for anywhere to be alienated, is there? Really?
It's part of a bygone era.
Yeah, it's looking back all the time to history, and
absolutely,
you have to look forward and see things differently.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's like you've got generations of wounds to heal before that becomes a reality, and that's
and they never
that's
will,
a sad fact.
Will they? They won't, because they won't let themselves forget anything. They won't move on, because they teach the younger generations are taught all about this, and the biases are put into place.
Yeah.
Yep.
As the timeline starts to grow, it's the ancestors that pick the scabs and keep the wounds open, and that's the only analogy I could give. And the fact that the new generation don't know the history, I'm actually quite glad that my kids have never ever sat and saw a news article showing bombings and so on and so forth in Ireland. They've never seen it. I grew up in that generation. I just thought it was the everyday thing. I didn't know that it wasn't right that was happening.
It was on the news at the time, wasn't it? Every day.
It was just commonplace. It became you became naturalized to it. And I'm glad that my kids know nothing about it, nor will they ever, because I will educate them in the sense of if they ask the questions, yeah, absolutely, but I will not force any opinion on the matter.
No. What good does it do to look back at things like that? I mean, just creates bitterness.
Yeah.
You've got to let it go.
I think probably one of the best examples of people who understand, accept, and move on from past digressions, I would say, were Germany themselves.
Prime example, yeah.
Because like they're fully aware that everything that happened was wrong, and it's like,
is it religion that's making it that much worse in that case? The case of Ireland, places like that.
That's
religion before, eh?
Yeah, that could be the I think that's what it stems. I think that's massively what it stems from. Simply because the segregation. That's the reason for the initial segregation in the first place.
Yeah,
was based around religion, and then from that, that's where the inner teachings of both sides, rightly or wrongly, I'm not going to contest who was right and who was wrong, because that's not.
No.
But yeah, and then it becomes an eye for an eye, and then it becomes 1 year becomes 5 years, becomes 10 years, becomes 50 years,
and then it's 50 and 60 and 100. You know,
exactly.
And it is 100 years or more, and all, isn't it?
Yeah,
there.
Yeah. But you look at all the Palestine.
Yeah, exactly.
Prime example.
Yeah,
prime example. All the major sort of issues or conflicts are all based around some sort of disagreement, religious or otherwise. You know,
religious beliefs. Yeah. Who's got the right to this, that, and the other? And it's just
But the thing about it, from what I can see, is like see if the governments are allowing us all to be arguing about this, that, and the next thing, whether it be religious or otherwise, it basically creates a smoke screen to allow them to do what they want, which is what's happening just now. Because you look at the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom have split us up into straight, gay, bi, trans.
I said to Simon the other day,
I can list. Do you know what I mean? It's like what they've done.
Divide and conquer.
Exactly. They've split us into so many different fractions that right now, how could we all get, because they've actually got us all standing against each other, how can we actually get together and complain about fuel prices? There's a prime example. Because they know that they've done that. They've created, because everyone's looking over their shoulder because they don't want to hurt anyone, they don't want to offend anyone, they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that. They don't know. People don't know anymore how to communicate and build these distensions against the system, as it were. Because, like, I remember at £1.20 a litre, we were picketing outside Grangemouth. We were on the motorways complaining that the fuel prices. Where is all that?
It's gone. Yeah,
we're all apathetic. I think
I heard murmurings about it, but nothing's happened. Yeah,
it's as if when we've limped out of COVID, we're all just so thankful and so gracious to be alive, and we're back. We're able to do what we want. We don't want to rock the boat because remember COVID, and something that's happening just now is not right. The dollar barrel of oil isn't much higher than it was when we were paying £1.20 an hour, £1.20 a barrel.
Is it?
So why are we paying nearly £2 a litre when the price of oil is back where we were paying £1.20 a litre?
So what's their angle?
Because nobody's complaining.
That's the whole thing, Simon. That's the thing that the fraction does off that far that we're finding it hard to have a commonality that we can get back and complain about it.
What's the prices like in France? I'd be interested to know, because if anybody's going to create kickback,
I'll tell you what. You talk about. I know what you're going on about. The demonstrations in France when the price went up.
Yeah,
they all demonstrated and the price came down, and a month later the price was more than what they was when it was demonstrated.
Okay, and nobody did anything.
It just went up. No, nobody did anything. No.
Yeah,
that's strange, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like when the price of electricity started going up. People said, and I agree with them to a degree, that if everybody between 10 and 11 o'clock at night on Sunday turned their electric off, and then turn it on again at 11 o'clock, it would cost the electric companies billions of pounds, because nobody's paying for electric between that hour for the whole country. You know what?
Sorry, I was going to say they would have the cost of the surge in electricity. It would cause them such a massive problem. It would cost them more money to store that electricity than it would to deliver it.
But I'll tell you what, it's the way society is now, and it's such a selfish society. It's like, well, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
I'll let everybody else do it. I ain't doing it.
Yeah.
It's the
If I turn the electricity on and off, I've got to go around and reset my computer and reset my router and do this and that.
Yeah.
Too much effort. I ain't doing it.
Yeah. But the thing about it is like, see, when you look at the way social media has been driven and the way that just even the general media on the TV, it's become it's become acceptable for a prime minister to stand in front of you and set rules and regulations and then follow on and break them themselves. That's become acceptable now. So if he can turn around and say, you must stay in your house, you cannot go out, you cannot see anybody, but by the way, wee Jimmy's got a leaving party and down the street, and I'm going to be having a few glasses of wine, but that's okay because you stay in your house. You can't go to your mum's funeral.
No.
I'm sorry about that, but I've got champagne to be drinking, so all the best. Do you know what I mean? What kind of message? It's like,
it's almost criminal. Well, it is criminal actually, but people forget. You know, a week later, there's something else in the news, and
yeah.
You know,
but the thing about it is like they did a review. They did a review of Boris Johnson's activities, and he got a £25 fine. Now I know people that were having lockdown parties during lockdown that were getting fined £1,000. Now, what I would say to them is, go back to your lawyer.
Yeah.
Because you must start a test case that and put it in that test case about Boris Johnson at a party in 10 Downing Street and tell me how a judge can say that was any difference to wee Jimmy in the Gorbals in Glasgow having a few of his mates round for a drink.
None at all.
It isn't, is it?
No.
Other than the fact that they've got money.
Yeah. And that's the problem, because we Jimmy and the Gorbals won't have the money to take it to court to challenge it, would they?
Exactly.
And they know that, so
exactly.
You're stuffed.
It's crazy.
They're like a bunch of bloody crooks, to be honest with you, I think.
Yep.
You want to know? I'll tell you what. I've noticed something quite prevalent that's come up lately is with the amount of industrial action and ballots that are going on, and it's a lot of it is the public services that have been privatised, or the public services that are going to be privatised. I'm hinting towards the NHS and things like that now. And when you look at RMT, big one that's been on just lately, you look at them and you look at the CEO and the board of directors, which are earning £5 and £6 million a year between them, and telling the people below them, the working people that do all the jobs, you can't have a pay rise. And then you look at the likes of Royal Mail, where the CEO for the company, there's two CEOs, but I'll talk about one CEO for the company, his salary is £500,000 a year, and
is anybody worth
with
that?
his bonuses and everything he's had so far this year, the bonus he is earning £760,000 this year, so £750,000 this year. And he actually stood up and did a video and said there is no money to give the workers, the people at the ground level, a pay rise because the company cannot afford it. But he has had £260,000 in bonuses.
Yeah. How's that?
So there's actually and that Royal Mail aren't the only ones. RMT aren't the only ones.
There's a massive.
The nurses are going. The doctors are talking about it. There's teachers are talking about it. There's a massive upsurge of the actual work.
The police
use the phrase working class.
The barristers are going on strike. What's that?
The barristers were on strike on Monday.
Yeah.
That hasn't been covered at all because they would have been because due to the anti-trade union laws, they call it, in 1992, if you want to go on strike, there's about I think it's a 4 or 5, it's almost 4-month period where you've got to enter negotiations, you've got to do this, you've got to jump through all these hoops and jump all these hurdles before you can actually take industrial action. Well, nobody has picked up at any point in that time that the barristers want to take industrial action. Until Monday, it turned out that, oh, guess what? The barristers are taking industrial action. I said, well, that didn't just happen.
No.
That has been something that has been going on for at least 3 months.
Of course it has. And I think this is what the Labour Party's been working very, very hard at under the sort of surface. They've been prompting the trade unions to create this this sort of unrest amongst their members. The police in Scotland have actually just removed what's classed as a goodwill gesture. The police are not allowed to refuse to work under certain circumstances.
Yeah.
But there is a goodwill agreement between the union and the police in Scotland to say that if they need to work additional hours, be it they have to work late for extraordinary circumstances, as a goodwill gesture, they will. They have actually just removed that goodwill gesture to state that they will not work over and above their delegated hours.
Yeah.
So it's like it's what would be classed as a silent strike.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember what they call it now. They call it something, don't they? Work to rule or something.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That work to rule is a form of industrial action. So yeah, you have to go jump through all the same hoops to get to a work to rule. Yeah. I'll tell you what, the 1992 legislation is really restricting, and you guys know I'm a union rep.
Who brought that in?
That will be Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah.
Anyway, and the Conservative the Conservative Party, God bless them. I have to be careful about what I say and do. Now, if I am in work, in my role as a union rep, and someone comes up to me with a problem and says, oh, they're doing this, doing this. And I say to that member, if I was you, I would work to rule, walk out. There's certain things I cannot say. And if I say them, I'm inciting industrial action. The employer can then sue me for damages. I can lose my house, my shit, a lot.
Yeah.
Now, how is that fair on me talking to a person and just saying, well, if I was you, I'd do this, or if I was you, I'd do that? Yeah. It's not a fair law.
But the closure was that not down to the sort of minor strikes? Was that not down to
the miners' strike happened 15 years before then?
The miners'
how was that?
Was orchestrated.
I'll tell you what it is they call it a union busting law.
Yeah.
Because during Margaret Thatcher's reign, she said, well, all these people that are in unions, when they go on strike, they don't get paid. They walk into the DSS and say, I'm not earning no money this week, and they pay their rent. Let's tempt them to buy their house. So we'll offer huge discounts on them buying their houses.
Yeah.
And then that way, if they want to take strike action, they've got to pay their mortgage.
Yeah.
That's just one.
That was a very
clever
move, that. Very clever to push that.
And it's turned around to bite them in the arse because there isn't enough council houses round to go around the working class.
Because every house that these people bought, they never replaced it.
No.
Yeah. They didn't, which they said they would do, and that is actually in the legal binding agreement. They said for every council house that gets sold, we will build another one.
Yep.
And they never did.
The last general election as well, the Conservative government said that it was over 77,000 affordable houses that they were going to build. And I'm sure it was Andrew Neil had questioned the housing minister and asked her, how many of the 77,000 houses have you actually built? And she said, I don't have the statistics and facts in front of me. And he said, I'll interrupt you right now because it's none.
Yeah.
You haven't built any of them.
They've not even built 7 of them yet.
And
I agree.
They keep getting away with it, don't they?
I mean, how many Tory MPs have been done for sleaze in this year?
Yeah.
Well, there's one not long ago, wasn't there?
There was one yesterday. The chief whip.
Oh, was he?
Yes.
What did he get up to?
He was groping young men.
Oh, men this time. The last one I heard about was women. But...
The last one before that, he was looking up porn on his phone in the Houses of Parliament while there was a debate going on.
Right. Was it a master debate?
Apparently, he was looking for a tractor and he came up with naked women. Now, I know Google's problem with their algorithm. Every time you put on tractor, it comes up with a naked woman.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Oh, it's a joke.
Maybe it was googling Massey Ferguson that come up with Missy Ferguson. She was a
John Deere and he got a Joe No Deere.
A mistress from Croydon.
And you got the other one that was paedophile this year. The other Tory MP that was a paedophile. And you've got Dominic Raab. He was up at the podium talking, and Angela Rayner is in a debate.
Yeah.
And he gave her a dirty little wink.
I heard about that, yeah.
Yeah, you hear about that. And I mean, Angela Rayner, I mean, bless her, she's brought herself up by her bootstraps and everything else. I've got a lot of time for her. I think she should be leader of the Labour Party above Keir Starmer, but we won't go into that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she will be.
How dirty did she feel at that? That was just disgusting. It's not how I envisage an MP behaving.
No.
He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
Of course he did.
He's playing a
Hello,
game.
darling.
Winding her up. Which he manages to do. Well, you wind anybody up. I can't bloody stand the bloke.
It's like I don't know if you pay particular attention to any time that any of the Scottish members of Parliament raise a question in Westminster, the way that the questions are answered by how degrading and how demeaning. It's like we're like a bit of shit on their shoe. The way that they talk down to the ministers, it's disgusting. Yeah. And a lot of it is very, very valid and very, very sort of pertinent points within the sort of debate that's happening within the House, and it needs to stop. There's like there needs to be a whole revamp of the way. As far as I was concerned, MPs should be people that peers within your local community that you see as somebody that can champion your cause, that go on to the Houses of Parliament and they stand in your corner.
Well, that's how it's supposed to work, isn't it?
But 100%, and it's not the way it's happening just now. Every single person that's in that government right this minute is in that for financial gain for some form or another. Now, I do not want to tar all the Tory MPs with the same brush, but the boys' club that's surrounding the cabinet and slightly beyond, there are ministers on the outskirts that probably became ministers for the very reason that I've just stated, that are probably sitting in their own party disenfranchised with the whole situation because they see the disgusting antics that these people are day by day getting away with.
You said a lot of that when they were debating the Brexit idea, the ones that had morals and stood up against their own party.
Yeah.
Who are probably excommunicated now, or lost
well, see, this is the thing, and this is the thing with the party whip as well. It's like, and it's a whip because they'll whip you into line verbally, albeit. But I would imagine back in the 1800s, the whips were whipping you.
Yeah.
So they'll get you into line in some way or another. What would they do? The whip would probably take you aside just now and say, what is it within your community that you're championing? I want a sports centre for my local community, right? We're going to get you a sports centre for that sports centre, you're going to have to vote for this act here. Is that a deal? Deal. Whether you agree with that or not, as an MP, are you going to do that? Are you going to come back to your community and say, I've got you your sports centre? Because you are.
Yeah,
I know I would.
Because at the end of the day, it's your image for your community that gets you elected.
100%.
So that's why they did it.
Exactly.
So they
if
just
you do
don't.
that, you're going to get elected next time.
They're just not beating you with sticks now. They're giving you what you want, but they're keeping it away from you until they need to use it against you.
Bribery, yeah.
It's like the chief whip. His job would have been during the last little election for Boris to stay or go. He would have been going around doing all sorts of deals with people to vote to keep Boris.
100%. 100%.
That was his job.
Yes. Yes, it would be like if you vote for Boris, we'll guarantee you that the next person that steps down, you will be a cabinet minister, or you want this will happen with you. And there would be loads of different.
The thing they do when they become prime minister, they gather all their mates around them, really, to look after them, don't they?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So all the good jobs get given to their buddies, basically, public school boys or whatever they are, you know.
Absolutely.
It's a bit like nepotism, isn't it? You're going to give it to your niece or nephew rather than the bloke that's qualified.
Yeah.
And then wonder why the company's in fucking countries in shit.
Yeah. I mean, if you did that in a private company, you'd be bankrupt in a couple of years.
Who was it that gave the massive big contract to one of his pals for face masks?
Oh, and that wouldn't be the health minister, would it?
His company was going into receivership. It was how many £20 million, and it was going into receivership, and it was going into receivership before it was awarded, and that they didn't even manufacture anything similar to a face mask.
I remember that. Yeah.
Who signed that off?
Yeah.
Because if Zedhead was signing that off, Zedhead would be in Berlin jail right this minute. But because I didn't go to eat him,
that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like nobody's been held accountable for anything, and that's all that I would love as a person who, I mean, they're asking people, oh, you must vote. Why? Because nothing that I vote for, there's no repercussions. If you promise to do something and you don't do it, how do I have any sort of comeback, or how do I have any say in the fact that you never delivered what you promised?
You don't.
None of them are accountable.
No.
Not even the opposition.
No.
The MPs are no longer, or the governing parties are no longer accountable for anything they say or do. No. They're not. They weasel out of it one way or the other, and they give this excuse, that excuse, and then they'll go and give you something. They'll give you a little something in this hand. Say, right, okay, we're going to give you this. Don't look over here.
Yeah.
Don't look at any of this. But here you are. This is for you.
Yeah.
Right, don't look at this, because companies have been doing that for a long time, and the company I work for is very, very good at it.
Yeah.
Whereas they'll give you a look. We're going to be giving you all this. Look, see this big shiny box. We're going to be. Don't look at this paperwork.
Yeah.
Look at this big shiny box. Now, I want you to vote for this shiny box, and don't look at the paperwork or the paperwork. Big shiny box. Look.
And they think you're stupid, don't they?
Wimbledon finals, European Championship finals, Champions League finals, World Cup finals. If you were to put up a spreadsheet of all those dates and all the dates of legislation that the government's actually put into public knowledge, would there be any coincidence that it happens in the same day, or the Queen's Jubilee, or so on and so forth?
Slip it through on the QT.
Because everyone's like, oh, we're having a party. What's this? Oh, it doesn't matter. We'll deal with that tomorrow.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Go and have the party. Go and have the party.
Exactly.
Look, we're giving you a free drink.
Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, exactly it. You've hit the nail right on the head, Stu. Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
How it's all done.
I wish that's how Kawasaki sold bikes. Oh, it's lovely.
No, we'd all be buying big shiny 50cc bikes for 30 grand and ignoring the ZZRs and GTRs for 10.
Don't look at the price. Don't look at this shiny bike.
Well, it's not a price anymore. It's a monthly payment. That's how they sell it to you now, isn't it?
That's exactly it.
You can have this for only £250 a month. You know.
Yeah.
£250 a month is yours. After 5 years.
What do you mean it's 35 grand? No, it isn't. It's £250 a month for the rest of your life.
See, looking at the ZZR 1400, I've been looking at 2008 bikes, which mine's got, I think it's just top 15,000 miles. And you look at a 2008 ZZR 1400 right now, I probably paid 4 years ago about £900 less or more than what it's selling for just now. So the price is holding really, really strong.
Prices.
I'll tell you what. There's something about when a bike reaches a certain cc, it holds its value.
Yeah, there is.
I mean, my GTR I bought for £8 grand 3.5 years ago. I could probably sell it for around 6.5, 7 quite easily. But it's not dropped that much money in 3.5 years. But I think it's once they get the bigger bike, and I mean you've got the reliability of it.
Yeah.
But it's the fact it's a bigger bike. Everybody knows that engine's solid.
It's the press.
If you get a 600cc bike, it's been ridden near top line all the time.
Yeah.
The engine's fucking loose and rattly.
That's how I actually get rid of the ZZR 600, because I had the ZRX 12 at the time, and I was jumping between the two bikes, and I said to my mate, I was like, I need to get rid of the 600. He's like, why? I said, because it feels like a bee in a tin can. So what do you mean? This is I'm revving the nuts off it everywhere I go, because it's not got the same pickup as the 1200.
Yeah.
So I'm riding it harder. I don't want to blow it up. I need to get rid of it.
Someone said to me once as well about I mean, your engine's same as mine, Stu, 4 pots.
Yeah.
I've looked at a couple of bikes that were twins, big 1000cc twins and things like that. And I said, I really like that, because I go for the look of the bike before anything else. And this salesman said to me, don't buy it. I said, why is that? He said, you'll be riding it on the red line. He said, you will always have the revs up near the red line all the time, and you're going to wear the engine out.
Aye.
He said, because you're used to the 4-pot, the nice smooth delivery of power and everything else, and you can put it on low in whatever gear, or you know, you can put it on and go. Where that you're going to have that up in the revs all the time. He said, you're going to be toe tapping, going down the gears to do what you want.
I'll give you an example. My mate had an Aprilia Millie 1000 RR, and this thing was stupendous. When I passed my test in 2009, David and I went out for a run, and I could actually feel it was a thumper of an engine. I could feel it vibrating on my chest. And we'd done a couple of runs, and he came in one day and he's like, I'm getting rid of the Millie. I was like, why? He said, because I feel as if I've just got to ride it right on the limit every time I'm out on it. I said, what do you mean? I was like, he said, it needs to be ridden hard into corners, hard out of corners, hard down straights. He said, otherwise the bike just doesn't make sense. It doesn't ride well under so many RPM as well.
Yeah.
And I was I couldn't understand it. He said, honestly, when you're riding it at town speeds, the bike's lumpy. It feels as if it wants to stall. It's hard getting round corners because the throttle's we've got progressive throttle, Simon, you know that yourself. It's like you know where where you're going to sort of hit the sort of sweet spot in the rev range, whereas these thousands, it's on off buttons. That's all the throttle is, and that's what he said.
Like nothing below 5,000 revs or something.
He just couldn't. Yep, he said it was almost undrivable, and a lot of the Ducatis were like that.
Wow.
A lot of the
I rode a Africa Twin 1000 on a test ride. I did 2 bikes in a day. I did the Africa Twin 1000 and I did the VFR 1200.
Yep.
I rode them both on the same test day at my local Honda dealer when they had an open day. And the Africa Twin I really did not like. One, the suspension was too soft and it was set up for the road apparently.
Okay.
But it was like rev it, otherwise it ain't going to go. I went, no, I didn't like that. And then he gave me the VFR 1200, and anything below 3,500 RPM, it was like he was riding a single cylinder bike.
Yeah.
It was like dead.
Right.
And as soon as it hit 3,500 RPM, it said, okay, we're going to open all the variable valve timing we've got on the V4 here. And the fucking thing shot out from underneath me.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is unrideable.
No.
And I went back and I told the salesman, I said, that is unrideable because of how it behaves under, oh, you got to keep the revs up. I said, I don't want to keep the revs up.
No.
I go out with my wife on the back and we want a nice sedate ride and where I can put the power on progressively and blah, 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 blah. He said, oh, what engine's yours got? I said, an inline 4. He went, oh, yeah, that is better. I went, well done. Here's the keys. You lost the sale.
Yep. And the winner is...
Congratulations, Mr. Maxwell. You can keep your bike. There you go.
I remember actually, it was November when I picked the ZZR up and I dropped the ZRX off, and it was kind of a bittersweet because like I've documented in many occasions, I loved the ZRX.
I had a ZRX for a while.
Honestly, see if somebody was to hand me a ZRX tomorrow, I would probably swap the ZZR back for it.
Really? What? Yours was 12 though, wasn't it?
The 1200, yep. 1200S.
1100, I think. I'm sure it was.
I had a 1200S. The only reason that I probably snapped at it was my 1200. It needed a wee bit of work. Needed a wee bit of TLC. See the down tubes from the frame. You know how like they were removable.
Right.
They took a lot of stone chips. Because they were exposed, they took a lot of hits. So I needed to take them off. They needed powder coated. The engine would have needed repainted, and the fins would have needed repolished, and so on and so forth. There was just wee things that I wasn't happy with, and the ZZR was sitting as you see it in any of my videos. That's how that's how I got it. I've just accentuated its beauty. I've not done anything massively different to it. It was a perfect bike to start off with because the guy who had it looked after it. But right now, if somebody was to give me a pristine ZRX 1200S, right now, I would swap it.
You're in the place where you'd take it,
Yeah. I would.
At the time, you wasn't. So
I wasn't. No. No,
it's really, really strange. I mean, I always look at bikes and think I really can see myself on that, or I can't see myself on that. And I keep looking to the top right hand corner there and seeing myself on my bike, and I'm like, yeah, that just looks right to me.
Yeah,
it's what, and it's the bike I wanted 7.5, 8 years ago.
Yeah,
but when I test rode one, I went, well, that's too much.
Bearing
in mind, I was stepping up from a 700.
See, the only thing with the ZZR for me, it's BMW M5 owners, it's Audi RS4 owners, it's Porsches.
They all want to chase you, race you.
Yeah, because 186 mile an hour top speed, they all want to see how their car fits against it. And I'm like, jog on. I can't be bothered. See,
what they got to remember there is their car weighs around 8 times your bike.
Yeah.
And if you go to power to weight ratio, you're near 1-on-1, and they're like
they still do it, and it's like it gets tiresome, especially on the roads up where I ride. It's like they all want to go on the twisties and so on and so forth. The ZRX kind of flew under the radar. And that's what I liked about it, because they probably looked at it and never gave it a second glance, but they didn't understand when I was sitting right up their chuff. You know what I mean? They couldn't understand it when I was overtaking them. You know what I mean? It's like that's what I liked about that bike as opposed to the one that I've got just now. The one that I've got just now seems to have a marker on it.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, they just can't get there because there's always going to be something in the way. On a bike, nothing gets in your way, so you just go, and they're just stuck.
I know.
No, Audi A4s do coming out the dip. I'm sorry, they get in the way.
They don't. Kamikaze pilots.
That was me. I was a Kawasaki kamikaze. Yeah, I was that. But mine's funny because I've got the full luggage on it and all the time. I used to take the boxes off when I was going back to the boards to work. I thought, you know what, I'm going to leave them on because I leave them in the house and the kids drop stuff on them. They get moved, they get scratched. I might as well leave them on the bike. They're safer.
Yeah.
And when you look at my bike, it's sort of like, well, that ain't very fast, is it?
That's a big old lump. It's not going to be.
Yeah, that's a lump. That ain't getting away from the lights. And like I say, the Tesla driver was really, really shocked.
Yeah.
And
how
I thought he was going to have me off the line. I thought he was going to have me off the line. But in first gear, we was matched. But as soon as I hit second gear and it started opening up, it was like, yeah I'm done now. You've lost.
I mean, what do you have to spend on a car to get the performance anywhere close to what you've got?
Well, you're talking about what's that, aerial atom?
Yeah.
That's about the only thing, really. That along those lines, stripped down, you've got absolutely nothing in it. You've got no comfort. You're sitting on a bank of fucking wood.
Yeah. straight out the wrapper, straight out the factory. My bike does 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds.
Yeah.
You need to spend serious money to get a car to do that.
I'm around, because I'm geared slightly different to you. 0.6 seconds is a few tenths slower for me because I'm geared different. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
I mean, 59 mile an hour, I've got to change the second to hit 60.
Yeah.
What horsepower are you on then, Zed? What's the?
I can't honestly remember. I think it's one something that I would need to Google it. I'll Google it now. I can't remember. For the Gen 1.
Mine's the slowest.
I'll Google it. I can't honestly.
Yeah, but yours has got a lot more character, Crumbly.
No, I love the look of it, so it suits me. I don't want any more power. I couldn't handle it.
I love your videos in your garage tinkering. I think they're great.
Right, so the ZZR straight out the box is 197 brake horsepower.
100 what?
197 brake
Oh, that's
horsepower.
well up there, isn't it? Christ.
Yeah.
Wow.
You do know how to de-restrict yours, don't you, Zed?
No, how go on then?
You've got 2 sets of butterflies on your air intake.
All right, okay. Aye, so
the top ones you take out.
Yeah, right.
What, and then what would it kick out then?
I think it can top out at about 200 plus mile an hour.
Yeah, that's how you make the ZZR 200 plus.
Yeah, it's because it was a Japanese directive. It was the same as the German directive for 155 mile an hour between all the BMW, Porsche, and so on and so forth. They restricted all their supercars to 155. The Japanese superbikes restricted themselves to 186.
Yeah.
So if you go across Hayabusa and so on and so forth, they were all at that age 186.
Yeah.
But
and Kawasaki put an extra set of butterflies in the top of the air intakes that don't open all the way.
Yeah, see, I wasn't sure, Simon, whether it was ECU driven or whether it was mechanically driven. But
it's mechanical. It's mechanical. It's that set of butterflies. You can actually safely remove those, and your bike will run as it should.
Just a little top speed and performance. Max power 197 brake horsepower. Max torque 113 foot-pound. Top speed 187 miles an hour. Quarter mile in 10.2 seconds. And tank range of 185 miles. Just for the.
Have you ever got 185 miles out of the tank?
185. Well, any journeys that I'm going, like. We've got stops, and the routes that I do, we've got stops about every 100 miles. And I can honestly say that when I open my tank to refuel, I can still see fuel. Yeah. So I'm not totally out because obviously the fuel tank on the ZZR goes under the seat. It's probably the same in the GTR as well because it goes back way.
Exactly the same. It's the same tank. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can see some of the fuel, but I can't see all of it. So I've never pushed it that far.
I did a big journey Wednesday. I went from my house to Birmingham, from Birmingham to Hemel, and then back to my house. And that was 215 miles from the petrol station I started at to the petrol station I finished at. And I decided, right, okay, I'm going to log the litres, how much it cost, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to write it all down. So I did. and I actually got on that journey 47.777 recurring miles per gallon.
Yeah.
And I thought, do you know what? That weren't bad considering I got caught in traffic.
Yep.
I got caught in 2 accidents, which I was filtering at low gear.
Yeah.
And everything else. I thought if I was continuously moving, that's over 50 to the gallon easy.
Yeah.
I got stopped for 45 minutes in traffic. So
see with the big Z, even if I'm pushing along, you've
Mhm.
seen the videos when I'm overtaking and so on and so forth. I don't think I've ever dropped below 40 MPG.
No, you won't. You won't because the revs aren't going up.
No, because it's such a linear and progressive acceleration. It's
I
not.
don't know if yours is the same, but I've got a variable valve timing where below 3.5, 3.7 RPM, it's using a economy valve timing. I tend to not change gear after first gear above 4,000 RPM anyway, because it's nice and smooth and comfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm getting over 50 to the gallon. I mean, the first 2 years I owned my bike, I reset the trip and everything else on it. And then when I looked at it 2 years after ownership, over all the riding I've done, so that was going out with the lads, going on holiday, doing everything with the wife, commuting, being an idiot, doing the whole lot, I was getting 54 to the gallon for the year average for 2 years. I thought that was fucking phenomenal for a 1.4 litre motorbike.
Yeah. I'd love to get that. Bloody hell.
But it's crumbly. It's a 1400 lump, and you're not revving it hard. No. At 70 mile an hour, I'm pulling 2,000 RPM.
Oh, you got carbs or injected?
No, it's injected. It's injected.
What, yours as well?
Yeah.
Ah, right. Okay.
So at 2,000 RPM, I don't know what you're pulling, Zed, but at 70 mile an hour, I'm just pulling just over 2,000 RPM.
No,
because a GTR they put an overdrive gear on 6 instead of 6th gear, so it's very fuel economy. As soon as you get on the motorway or any travelling, you're in 6th gear. It's sipping. It's
mine's only got 5.
Put a 6th in.
Usually at 70 mile an hour, I'm changing into second.
I have to change into second at 59 mile an hour. So, yeah.
No, it's like
yours is just as good as MT Benny's. He reckons he gets 180 mile out of a tank. Well, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, but his tank is only this big. Mine's this big.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I never thought of that.
The thing about it is like, as much as like when you're pulling out and you're overtaking cars and you're coming back in and you're doing what you have to do in the GTR and the 1400 ZZR, you never ever feel as if you're actually stressing the engine. You never feel as if you're pushing it anywhere near where it's going to be a problem.
No.
Yeah. Well, the only time I feel like I'm stressing the engine is when I do that quick pull away from the lights or the roundabout and that, and you want to fuck about with someone, and I'll take her up to 8,000 RPM in first. After that, it's like second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth.
That's it, and just everything quietens down, and it's like.
What can you get out of it in first gear then, Simon?
I get 59 in first.
59. I've never tried mine like that. I wouldn't do that.
I don't know what Zed gets out of his in first, but I think it's about 80 or 90.
I've usually got my eyes shut. Just hoping and praying that I'm staying on the grey stuff. Oh dear, no.
Would it lift the front wheel then?
Oh, easily. You could flip the bike if you were aggressive enough on it.
Wow.
Quite easily.
I've pulled away many a time, and I've had the old traction control come up, and it's limited the engine.
See, I'm non-ABS. I'm non-traction control. So when I'm pulling away from the traffic lights and I'm being aggressive, I've got my foot on the rear brake. I'm holding the bike down on the rear brake.
Yeah.
But I'm still going through the throttle and the gears.
So you're braking and accelerating at the same time.
I was watching that was Guy Martin. I watched Guy Martin, Isle of Man TT, and that's one of the things that he said. If you want to hold a bike down, you sit on the rear brake, and it'll stop the bike from, because if you don't, the bike will just rotate on the back wheel. It will just rotate back the way. So you basically you apply pressure. If you feel the front coming up, you apply more pressure on the rear, but you keep the power going through the bike as well at the same time. I'm not saying I ride popping wheelies, because I don't, but it's just something that if I feel it getting a bit unstable, that's what I do.
If I give it the full beans, and I've done it only on very few occasions, give it full throttle as I'm pulling away, my front wheel will bounce.
Yeah.
Because every time that front wheel comes off the floor, the traction control comes in, it puts it back down again, the front wheel rotates, catches up the back wheel, gives you full power, and then the front wheel comes up and it's not in match rotation with the rear wheel, and it kills the power, and it does about 30 skips.
Yeah.
It feels like, and the front's trying to come up.
Yep.
And the bike won't let it, and it keeps, and it's the most weird.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest feeling in the world you can imagine. So what I've done is I've developed a system where I'm rolling it on rather than just giving it beans.
Yeah.
So instead of just going, what you're doing is you're rolling the power on to where you're feeling that front start to get light.
Right. I'm the same in the sense that obviously we're not having traction control, and staying in Scotland with the cooler temperatures, my bike's more likely to break traction at the rear than it is to pop a wheelie, from the simple fact of opening the throttle.
Yeah.
And it's strange, and it'll be weird if you were to ride behind me for you to see how much I don't mind the back end stepping out of my bike. It's just something that you become used to, because when you're trying to lay power down on the bigger bike and it starts to move, you kind of understand it. And you've got one of two decisions to make. And it's one is, if it's okay and it's not snapping too hard, you can just hold the power where it is and the bike will straighten up. Yeah. 2, you can just roll off slightly. Or 3, you just have to, you're by the grace of God. So you do get used to it. And I bought my bike, and I think it was one of the biggest things and probably the best things that I could have done. I bought my bike in November. I rode it all through the winter. I rode it in crappy road conditions, a 1400cc with no ABS, no traction control, all the way through November, December. I rode it all the way through and just cleaned it every day. And it probably was the best education I've ever had on a bike. Because
stuff,
because I knew exactly what I could and could not do with that accelerator, with the throttle. Because if I was too greedy, it was throwing me in a hedge. If I was too greedy, so the back end would step out. And you would right, okay, I know what I did there, right. So the next time you pull away, you're just rolling on just that wee bit smoother, and you get to a stage where you are the traction control.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. You are the traction control. You're human traction control. You're probably not good at it, but you're better than somebody that's just going to rip that throttle.
Yeah. So in the wet, then you could spin up for a pastime.
I could probably spin the bike in about the first 4 gears.
Yeah.
If I was aggressive enough. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, like, a lot of people, oh, it's raining, blah, blah, blah. See the tyres, the type of tyres we've got now, the traction on the tyres, you'll be doing quite well to break traction in even the cheapest of tyres nowadays.
Do you run fairly sort of soft ones, or?
No, I run 41 PSI. I run a dual compound. They are two CTs. I think it's Bridgestone's BT023s.
Yeah.
I run. They're a dual compound, so they're harder in the middle with a softer edge. Basically because a lot of commuting, but where I'm riding, there's a lot of corners, so you want the softer compound when you're sitting on the corners. So I don't ride a soft tire. The ZZR 1400 would spit a soft rear out within 2,000 miles if you're riding it hard. Easily. A soft compound.
What's it weigh then? Weight on yours then?
Yours is
I'll
about
have to go back.
270, 80 kilo dry weight.
Yeah.
Mine is 320 kilo dry weight.
But what I would
100 and what?
320 kilo dry weight for the GTR.
For the GTR.
And about 270 or 280 for the ZZR.
Even heavier than mine then, Christ.
Well, see, the thing about it is although what Simon's saying with the weights, you have to consider where the weight is. You know yourself, Simon, the weight of the engine's quite low down.
Yeah. So
the centre of gravity, if you're lifting my ZZR off its side stand and you lift, let's say, a GSXR, Thou, Fireblade, so on and so forth, you will not. My mate's got a GSXR K3 and he lifted my ZZR off its side stand and he nearly dropped the bike over the other side because he went like that and he almost overbalanced it. He's like, my God, that's so light. He couldn't believe it because all the weight's low down because the engine's wide but it sits low in the frame.
Right. Yeah, because mine feels heavy.
Mine is shaft drive as well, so I've got extra weight low down, even though I've got a lot more luggage and fairing on it as well. And I'll tell you what, that bike is balanced so beautifully.
Yep.
The centre of gravity is so. I mean, a lot of the times on bike, you notice when it's got a full tank of fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't on that.
Yep.
Right.
It really does not notice.
No, mine shifting from left to right in any corners that I've ever been in does it no bother. When you're running into a corner at high speed and you apply the brakes, then every one of those 200 odd kilos you notice.
Yeah.
That's when you notice it. When you're trying to slow down into a corner, you feel it. And that's where the sports bikes are braking 50 meters up the road before you. And that's how they're getting into corners and away from you just that wee bit quicker. But you can catch up with them by the end of the straight. But then you're braking 50 metres before them again just to get around the corner. But they're not smiling as hard as you, though.
You can certainly feel the weight of the bike when it's braking into corners.
Yeah.
Especially if you are... I'm going to put my hand up and say, yes, I do it. I'm a late braker. I brake as I turn in. I'll take off speed with the gears and everything else before I get there. But as I reach the corner and start turning in, I will start rear braking.
Yeah, no, that's what I do.
Trail brakes around the corners there.
Yeah. Yeah, I do that as well.
It tends to settle the bike down on its suspension front and rear. And even if you've got the suspension a bit soft, it tends to stiffen everything up.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you've reached that bottom part, if you've timed it right through the corner, once you've reached that bottom part of the suspension where it's sitting nice and low and you're about apex, that's when you start accelerating.
Yeah.
And the bike is already low and it just tends to grip more rather than having to push down and then go.
When you're accelerating then, halfway through the corner.
Yeah.
And you haven't put it up right, you literally... accelerating.
Yeah, I'm accelerating out of a corner. It's something we did in advanced riding. They do slow in, fast out. Where I do slowing down in, and I'm already pitched over and ready for the apex. And as soon as I reach apex, I'm fast out, and I'm very, very quick out of corners. Yeah, and it was Boo Ryder on his S1000RR was following me in corners, and he was watching me and saying, "Well, Simon ain't braking yet, so this is a pretty quick corner." But once I got to the corner, he saw the brake lights come on. He actually went, "Oh shit!" and he started braking. And by the time he got around the corner, I was down the road.
He turned himself.
It's a technique I've perfected over the last 8-9 years, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whereas it's the way I've found it easiest and quickest to get through a corner. One of the policemen that followed me once said, "You do a lot of comfort braking," and I said, "No, I call it bike settling braking because rather than the suspension doing this, it's doing this.
Yeah.
Because it's lower on its suspension, so it's traveling less. So you suffer less. What do you call it? Road bounce. So you're getting less of that, and the drive wheels and everything is ready, and your tires at the perfect pressure. So wherever you are on your tire, it's at the flat point at the bottom, and it's got its widest footprint, and you open it up, and it will just go.
So you look at a MotoGP rider going into a corner. What's the first thing they do? They're heavy on the front brake. You'll see them, the back ends kind of sitting up on them. Why are they so heavy on the front brake? Because they're trying to squash the front tire into the track. That's exactly what they're trying to do. As soon as they feel that,
maximize the footprint,
they ease off the front brake, trail brake, and that's when they've got the grip and they know that they can steer in, hit their apex, and then as Simon says, they're throttling out. And obviously a lot of times in MotoGP they're squaring corners off and so on and so forth. It's slightly different, but the principle is exactly the way Simon's describing. You're settling the bike. You don't want to be front with your front because what you're doing is your suspension, if you think about it, is doing that up and down, and it doesn't know what it's doing.
Into the corner.
You want your bike to first of all lower at the front, and then the back end to match it, so the bike squats before it comes into that corner. And that's something that you just start to feel the more that you do it.
So when
it takes me about 3 or 4 months to get used to a bike, riding it all the time, to get all its little how it feels and how it handles before I can start pushing it through the corners. Like that.
I've got a certain road up here that I kind of use that. I know every bike that I've been on. I know what kind of speeds of the corners that I can go into, and then what I'll do is the next bike I come onto that road with, I'll go at a slightly less speed, and I'll see how the bike reacts, and then I'll go back to the start of the road, and I'll go back down it, and I'll just increase, and I'll see where the limit is and see where the feel of that bike is. So basically, what I do is I use
MotoGP drive.
I'm using that road as like that's practice. My datum. That's my datum point.
Yeah,
because I know that the road doesn't change other than slight weather anomalies and stuff like that. It's still the same road.
So when you're trail braking, then are you trail braking with the back brake, front brake?
If I'm trail braking, I'm only using the back brake because
trail braking is what they say is it's trail, it's rear. So,
because of
you can use your front brake around a bend now, can't you?
If you
carefully.
I won't use it once the bike's leant over.
No.
I won't touch the front brake.
I think if you're pulling the front brake when the bike's leant over, the bike wants to stand up and go straight.
That's when you increase your arc around the corners when you do that.
You're going to miss your apex. You're going to.
My bike, the GTR. I don't know if yours is, but my GTR's got link brakes. So when I apply the rear brake, the left, I think it's the left-hand side caliper applies, but not as severely. I can feel it coming on, but I can still push it in.
Yeah.
Whereas if I touch the front brake, the front bites down, and then the bike wants to stand up. Because the suspension's compressed. The next natural progression is for the bike to stand up. Whereas if you're using the rear brake, it will bring the front down, but it won't as much. It squashes the rear tire down, which then increases the footprint, which gives you more chance. And if you put power on while the bike's leant over, it wants to turn into the corner. It's counterintuitive because if you put power on going into the corner and the bike is already on the back wheel, the bike will take a tighter turn. So that's what the bike is trying to do, and that's how you can brake really late into a corner and get out of it very quickly. Because as the bike is powering on, it's trying to turn into the corner. Well, you're already then trying to stand the bike up because you'll reach the apex and the corner is opening up. So it's Rolly. He's in the room. Hello, he's not in the room. But
Well,
he's here. Rolly.
what time is it where Rolly is then?
Probably be about 8 o'clock in the morning or something stupid there, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Breakfast time.
Rolly's in a time machine. He's like tomorrow. Rolly's tomorrow.
Yeah. Actually, we're in tomorrow now. It's 10 past 12.
We are now, aren't we?
We've caught him up. We're chasing him.
But he's in winter, so that's.
Yeah, he's in winter, we're in summer. We're still chasing him. Those Australians, they're so far ahead. They're 6 months ahead of us.
I know.
I'll bet his winter's better than our summer, though.
I bet it is.
Oh, and it does.
Jesus. Is he coming on then? Oh no.
Yeah, no worries, Rolly. See you in a minute, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, cool, man.
Yeah. He's got to eat his cornflakes first. 8:41 a.m. there. Look at that.
Oh my. He's got to get the Weetabix down.
What does that sun look like? Because we ain't got it here for another fucking 6 hours.
I doubt if we'll even get any tomorrow. It's supposed to be raining, isn't it?
Yeah, our weather forecast for the weekend.
Saturday is supposed to be an absolutely awful day. Sunday's supposed to be a lot nicer. So, and of course we got the Formula One Grand Prix this weekend, haven't we?
I don't know. I don't follow Formula One.
A bit of a fan, as you probably guessed, because I'm Michael Schumacher stuff and everything else. But
see, when Formula One decided that they didn't want Overtaken to be involved in their championship, I just lost interest.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you what, exactly. The best days of Formula One and the pinnacle of Formula One was when Nigel Mansell became champion in the Renault.
Yep.
The Renault, whatever it was, Renault Williams. Yeah, Renault Williams.
Yep.
And it had the active suspension and the ABS, and they put all this stuff on the car because they used to test stuff before they put it into production for road cars.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was the pinnacle of, right, let's see what we can do to push a car to make it safer.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Big fat tyres on it, big fucking, no grooves, no nothing.
Formula
then
One
they started saying we want to slow the cars down. I'm like, why?
No, we want to put grooves in the tyres to make them have less grip. You want what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to make it more dangerous when they go around the corner.
We're going to make them shorter and wider. It's like, wait a minute, if you're making a car wider, that means that it's more difficult for two cars to go round a corner together. Yes, that's exactly what we want. How do we overtake? Oh, we'll just make them faster on the straight. But then the aerodynamic packages don't allow that. Also, I don't know.
They should remove all of those regulations. I agree, make the cars a wheelbase to wheelbase a certain length. They can only be a certain height. But you can do what you want.
Simon's going to hate this, but have you seen the car that just broke the Goodwood Festival record?
I'm
going to find a gallon of petrol and set fire to the fucking thing.
No, but do you know the concept of what it's using?
Eh?
What, hydrogen?
No. It is an electric car, but it has a massive fan that sucks it onto the road that creates ground effect. So it can go round the corners as fast as. Can you remember was it the Lola? Lola had the rubber side skirts on the side of it that created ground effect, and it was allowed by the FIA because they didn't understand the technology until the other teams actually researched it and put a similar car, their cars, into the wind tunnels, and they realised that the ground effect of these side curtains, because it reduces the air pressure going under the car as opposed to over it, that it meant that these cars could corner 40 to 50 miles an hour faster than any cars that didn't have it, because it sucks them into the ground. And that's what this electric car does. This car's got a fan with side skirts. The fan's in reverse, so it's sucking air from the bottom, and pushing it out the top and creating this massive, over-exaggerated ground effect, and that it broke the Goodwood Festival. Get them in Formula One, and everyone will be overtaking each other left, right, and centre because it was small, it was narrow, and it could go round corners like a electric car. Put a petrol engine, put a V8 petrol engine.
That car is worth about fucking £750,000 or whatever. It can be defeated with £10 worth of petrol.
But aero's been a problem.
I'll tell you what, I'm not a fan of electric vehicles, and everybody knows I'm not a fan. And the reason is why. The majority of them are not as environmentally friendly as people think they are.
No.
That's the only reason. The lithium batteries, strip mining whole fucking continents just to get it, and then what do you do with it when it's done? Mm-hmm. And everybody is charging them up from a nuclear power plant, a gas power plant, which are not environmentally friendly. No. So all these people are going out going, oh, I've got a Tesla now, and there's congratulations, you're promoting and you're encouraging and you're creating all these greenhouse gases that you do not know about. Because
that's why I love Porsche, because Porsche turned around and said, we've got a petrol hybrid car. Have you now? Yes. It's the fastest supercar that we've ever produced.
Mm-hmm.
How's that possible? Right, okay, so mechanically an engine will reach its mechanical maximum potential torque at a certain RPM, and the power curve flattens out. Right, okay, we understand that. That's when we put the electric power in, and that flattens the curve out and it smooths it out, and when the mechanical power comes back in, the mechanics take over again. And that's what they did. And that's what their petrol hybrid does. It's nothing to do with saving the planet. It's about producing a faster supercar. It's a hypercar.
That's brilliant.
And it's got KERS, it's got kinetic energy regeneration systems. It's got all sorts of...
You never have to plug the fucking thing in. Yeah.
It's magic.
Which is good.
And it burns dinosaurs into the bargain.
Yeah. Oh, you're not having fun unless you're burning something. Let's face it.
Of course.
I mean, the biggest bike dealers in the world could come at me and say, we're going to give you this electric bike. I'd say, yeah, fine. Hang around 10 minutes, you can take it away in ashes. Because a full electric vehicle, I was driving them 40 years ago as a milkman. You know, they're not fucking new like you're telling me are. No. And they are not saving any environment you can think of.
No.
So what is the point?
Have you ever,
now, if you want to bring me a vehicle that is hydrogen backward,
have you ever seen the American Tesla owner that he's walking back to his car with like a tank, thing with fuel in it? Is that
to fill up his fucking generator to charge it up.
A Honda petrol generator
on the petrol generator in the boot. Yeah.
Is that, do you not think that there's something strange? No, I need to charge my car. Didn't see anything wrong with it. It's like,
oh, dude. It's the same old story, isn't it? Governments and everybody latches on to this electric thing.
Yep.
They did it with diesels as well, in a similar way.
Yeah. And they were fucking wrong then as well. Yeah.
The thing about it, you look at the massive big environmental seminar that happened in Glasgow, that all the countries came to, and they basically signed all these treaties saying that they were going to, by 20 whatever, we're going to agree to this, and we're going to be zero carbon by then, and none of it was achievable.
No.
But by signing it opens up so many billions of pounds worth of grants. So just because you've signed up to say that, we're going to achieve this by that, it allows them to open up these avenues, which then allows them to say, oh, you've got to go green, you've got to get these cars, you've got to get this, that, and the next thing, when the infrastructure for it isn't even here.
No.
And it's like I'm. We've got a guy that comes into my work, and he's actually got a prototype that he's actually had tested of an electric boiler, which he reckons is more efficient than the best gas-fired boiler in the UK at the moment.
Really?
And he's going through the testing process of it, and he reckons that it will half electricity bills if we can get it to market. And it's using heating elements.
Okay.
It's using heating elements.
But these heating elements are heated up by electricity.
Yep.
But it doesn't need much.
No, not to deliver the heat that's required for a house.
That means these elements must be made of something a bit different then.
He will not divulge what they're made of.
No.
He has actually shown me the prototype. Yeah, I've actually held the prototype in my hands.
Okay.
And he said this isn't. It wasn't. He never invented it. It was somebody who he worked with that took not well and handed him it and said, "This will make you a lot of money one day."
Wow.
And he's in the process. So it's basically being bench tested at the moment.
Yeah.
And I reckon if we can get it onto the market pretty quick, because he's looking for cabinet designers, he's looking for all sorts of IT.
I wonder if he ever will, or whether it will get bought up by a big company.
Well, there's the thing is like what was the whole story about the American guy who ran a car on water that mysteriously had a heart attack and the design was lost and
yeah.
How many times of his massive company? It's like who's got a vested interest in that? Petrochemical companies for a start.
Of course they have. Yeah.
So like if they see something that's going to affect their profits, how much is it going to cost? Like I'm Joe Average. How much? What's my selling point? How much am I worth? How much am I going? If they were to turn around to me tomorrow and say, "I'll give you £2 million," I'd be like, "I'll take that. I'll take that right now." But you need to sign over all rights. I don't care, mate. You've just secured my family for the rest of my life, right? That's fine.
Yep.
So what they do with that? Oh, see that? We'll just wrap that up.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they did with the punctureless tyre, weren't it?
Yep.
The guy that invented the punctureless tyre, the big tyre companies got together and went, you know what? We'll buy the patent off him.
Yeah.
And we'll release it. We will make it exclusively for certain models, and that's it.
But you think
that
about
could be manufactured for every fucking vehicle ever.
I work for McAlpine's plumbing products. Actually, that's who I work for. So I work in injection molding. We injection mold ABS, polypropylene, rubber. All sorts of grades of moldable plastics. You can't tell me that Dunlop, Pirelli, and so on and so forth don't have a tyre that can last 10 years.
Yeah.
And it doesn't affect the grip of the tyre. You can't tell me they can't design a silica compound that could do that.
But what's the point in that for them?
Exactly.
No,
exactly.
Yeah. It's like over the years, people have come up with ideas for fuel and all that. Been doing it for years, and the fuel companies just buy them out and forget about it.
What's it called? Was it man-made obsolescence? That's why when you've got a 3-year warranty on a washing machine, it will break after the 4th year.
Yeah.
The bearings will fail. Why? You can make bearings that will run for like.
Yeah, it's designed into it, isn't it?
Of course it is. And that's but then if they would say, right, okay, so if I'm to make a washing machine that lasts 10 years, your washing machine is going to cost you £2,000. Who's going to buy a £2,000 washing machine? But it's false economy because every so many years you're buying a washing machine at £300.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you're paying that money, but you're paying it over.
It's the same across the board, Ed. I mean, they could do it with clothes as well, couldn't they?
Of course they could.
The fabrics they got now and can come up with.
Of course they could.
You could have clothes that last for years.
Yeah.
Never wear out, never need washing or whatever.
Absolutely. It's like any heavy wear points on any garments or clothing, put Kevlar in it. You could weave Kevlar into garments and nobody would know it was there.
No. So you're up against it all the time. I mean, it's always for the manufacturers are going to want to resell. So you've got no.
Of course they are. Of course they are. But what we're doing is like as a society, as a more than a society, as a colony on a small spinning planet, we're using up more and more resources year in, year out. So surely we have to learn how to use the resources more clever solutions to using resources than we are just now.
Yeah.
Because they're not, none of the resources that we've got are just going to keep coming and coming and coming.
No, they're not.
Of course, they're going to run out sooner or later.
Yeah.
So we need to be smarter in the way that we use them.
Well, it's all coming out of the ground, most of it, isn't it? Really?
Yep, 100%. See the plastics we use, the clothes that we wear, that's all byproducts of the petrochemical companies. You know, polyester, that's a byproduct of fuel, byproduct of oil. It's a synthetic fiber.
Once they stop giving incentive for these people to drill it out of the ground by saying we're not using petrol vehicles and all that anymore, where are you going to get all your plastics from and stuff?
That's just that.
You know, even for making for these electric cars, I mean, it's still got plastic in them.
Yeah, I mean, like a polypropylene is 100% recyclable. All you need to do when you're recycling that is like just now the company I work for, we use 92% virgin material. I think it's about 6% regrind, which is reground polypropylene, about 2% master batch, which gives it the colour again. But running at 6% regrind, that basically recycles any polyprop that we produce at scrap. So we can we're self-sustaining in that respect.
Yeah.
So, but what we don't do is if Jimmy Plumber takes a fitting off a sink in Glasgow, that doesn't come back to our factory and get recycled and put back into somebody else's fitting, which that's what I think should be happening.
Of course, yeah.
We should be able to turn around and say, right, if you're buying our product, when you want to change it, we'll buy it back off you.
Back, yeah.
Not nominal fee. You're not talking about buying it for the same fee, but there would have to be some sort of thing. But
like they used to do with bottles, Corona bottles or something, didn't they, years ago?
What country is it? Is it? It's either like Finland, Sweden, or something like that. They can pay for train tickets by putting plastic bottles into a vending machine, and it gives them credit. Yeah. It gives them credits. They can put it's like recycling. Every time they put a plastic bottle in, it gives them so many credits towards a train ticket or a bus ticket or so on and so forth. And it's a form of social conditioning. You're less likely to go like that with a plastic bottle and throw it in the floor or throw it in the bin.
Absolutely.
I'll just put it in there because I'm going to make money off that.
Yeah. Well, they're so far ahead of us in many ways.
But the thing about it, we had it with glass bottles anyway, with the soft drinks bottles and whatever that we had. Started off as 5 pence, 10 pence, went up to 20 pence, 25 pence, and then they stopped doing it.
Yeah, because they went to plastic.
They stopped doing it.
Yeah. Well, they do recycle plastic and make clothes out of it now, don't they?
Yeah, that's it. They spin the plastic into polyester fiber.
Yeah. So, I don't know. They're going to change. Things are going to have to change a lot.
Of course they are. And it's like,
cleaning us in this country with taxing vehicles and bloody green taxes and all that. isn't going to change a job. What goes on in the world?
No, well, I mean, like
on this
tax,
small island.
Tax for me is a sore point. It's like I pay road tax on 2 bikes. I pay road tax in a car as well. I'm still riding in potholed roads.
I tell you what, when it comes to road tax, I'm really, really pissed off because I've got a 1.6 AdBlue fucking car out there that is 0 road tax. That tears up the road and does more damage than my 1.4 litre motorcycle I pay £80 a year for.
Yeah.
It's absolutely. What is the road tax for? It's. But yet again, if I take my motorcycle into London, it costs me nothing. But if I take my car into London, I've got to pay the ULEZ card.
Yeah. What the road tax?
Where's
the road tax for me is a stealth tax because it's not actually getting used for the purpose that it's generated. And like, I would love for somebody to actually write to the government and request a disclosure on the percentage of money that's paid in road fund licenses, as opposed to how much is spent repairing the roads. And I think the disparity between
I've got an exact answer for you: 0.
Yeah.
Because the roads are repaired by a local government, so it's whatever government governs that area. They're in the local council, or whatever, are in charge of repairing that road.
Yeah, but there must be a
everything else.
There must be a drawdown on that, Simon knows. Like, say for example, it was £1 trillion that was come in road fund licenses. The centralised government must draw down that money to all the localised governments for them to pay, or the councils or whatever, to pay that out on the road.
I'm guaranteeing none of that gets drawn down. It all goes to government and they keep it.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
So, like,
yeah, but doesn't it work like the local government or local councils, they get their budget and they hold on to it. And the last month before their new one comes in, they spend everything they've got left.
Yeah.
Otherwise they lose money.
Yeah, it's like, because like whatever they don't spend, that's
it's knocked off.
That's what they get deducted from next year.
Yeah.
Well, so you've got guys digging out potholes that are fine and repairing them, and it's a joke. It's a merry-go-round. It's a Mickey Mouse merry-go-round. That's all it is.
Yeah, it is. Well, and councils used to have their own workers that did repairs on roads at one time, didn't they?
Yeah. It's all subcontracted out now,
which is more expensive.
Yeah.
Really?
Actually,
I mean, how many times in our lifetimes have we seen a road get dug up and resurfaced, and then 2 weeks later the water board come in and dug a fucking hole in it?
Absolutely. That really annoys me.
They do that all the time around here. All the time.
It's sort of like, can you talk to each other and say, look, we're fucking digging the road up here, we're going to resurface it. While you're doing that, we've got a water main down there we've got to replace. So can we not do it all together?
Yeah.
And then you end up with a fucking road that does that.
Where I stay, we had the roads department, and it wasn't the council. They came in and they basically just swept the roads. They didn't scarify it. They didn't do anything. And they cleared all the cars off it. They swept it all, cleared it all. And then a guy came out with like duct tape and went over every single manhole cover, every drain, and he dropped this chemical compound onto the road surface. You could smell it. You could smell it. It wasn't even tar macadam. It was some sort of chemical like top dressing. And they came in and they just thinged it, and then a guy came round, pulled all the tape off these covers. Now, I've already written to the council for the simple fact that about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I parked my bike at my house to wash it, and I put it on its side stand, and when I came out, the bike was almost fell over because the side stand had sunk into the top. Yeah. I'm like, I almost lost my bike because your road. What is this stuff you put on a road? It's crap. Yeah. You see, when it's wet, it gets slidey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's crazy, and like there's some parts of it, because it's not been put down properly. during the winter, when the water's got underneath it and the ice is lifted, it's all starting to bulge.
Yeah, that is all that is probably some kind of dressing, like a glue, stick it to the other road.
That's exactly what it is. It's like a chemical quick fix. That's all I could describe.
My local council spent millions redoing a bit of road just down the road from me. And I went round it one day, and the entrance to or as you enter the zebra crossing area, it's a different road surface. Well, I went across it on the bike, and it was damp. And on a bike, as a biker, when you reach a zebra crossing, you aim between the white lines, you get to the black bit. Well, I hit this black bit, and it sent my bike sideways. And I thought, oh, maybe I caught the white bit. I didn't think nothing of it, and I carried on. Well, the next day I went over it, it was still damp, and it did exactly the same thing. So I went round, and I stopped and had a look. And it was a different road surface, and I walked on it. And I'll tell you what, I could have fallen over. It was that slippy when wet, this black bit. So I wrote to my local council and said, what have you done? This road surface is awful. I've nearly had 2 accidents now riding across it on my motorcycle at approximately 15 miles an hour because I'm approaching a roundabout. And it sent my bike sideways. And they sent me a letter back saying, oh, it's this surface, it's this surface, it's this surface. And it's for cohesion. I said, there is no cohesion on this surface.
No.
And they then replied to me and said, oh, no, we checked it out. It's fine. A week later, the road was closed and they replaced it.
Well, it was fine then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It
was perfectly fine. Yeah. I mean, literally in my motorcycle boots, if I walked across it and stopped suddenly, my feet moved.
Yeah.
Really?
It seems to me like a lawyer has maybe looked at the findings and been, you get this changed because if somebody hits this, we're screwed.
Yeah. And it's on this zebra crossing is on a left-hand bend, so you've got no choice. You've got to be going around.
Yeah.
So for the rest of the week, I hit the white line or the white stripe of the zebra crossing. That held more grit than the black bit.
That's crazy.
I still took it very, very slowly and gingerly, and then the next thing I know, they shut the road and everything else. And then, one night they shut the road, and the next day I went back and I went, "Oh, that's changed."
They put some proper stuff down now. It's all save money jobs, isn't it? It's a quick fix.
Yeah.
But in the long run, it's more expensive. It's got to be.
Yeah.
You know.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I'll tell you.
Yeah, because they're repairing it more than once. The frequency of the repairs is far higher. It's false economy, basically. But I think it's like, say for example, 100 people went over a road and it was substandard, and maybe 10 people complained about it. I think what the council have done now is they've said, right, see, instead of reacting to a road that's had 10 complaints, it needs 20 complaints now. So it's not the fact that they don't know that the road surface is bad, it's the fact that they've just accepted that their percentile of complaints has to be higher before they actually send somebody out to look at it. Yeah, that's how they're saving money, and it comes down to accountancy. That's all it is.
Yeah.
How much money are we going to lose if somebody makes a claim against us because of this? Because as you know, if there's a pothole in the road and you report it, and you've got evidence, you report it, and then you ride over that same pothole again, and you damage your vehicle.
Yeah.
You can then claim against the council because it's been reported.
Yeah.
Whereas if the council do not know about it and you try and claim, they'll go, well, I didn't know about it.
We didn't know.
So it just needs a certain amount of, or at least a few, I'd say, registered complaints that have been received for them to go, well, actually now we're liable and we need to do something.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the sort of vigilante group that are going round and potting flowers in potholes?
Yeah, I've seen them.
Urban evangelists that are going round and they're just getting topsoil and putting nice wee plants into
Planting plants in fucking potholes. I mean,
it's a subtle kind of, do you know what I mean? I like that. That's kind of a non-combative complaint, isn't it?
it is funny. It is funny, but the fact you could actually plant a plant in a pothole leads me to believe that's a substantive pothole, isn't it?
Exactly. And you know what? It probably gets the local press and the local news to come round and do their wee piece on it, and the council to get suitably embarrassed to actually send out a lorry to fill that hole by the next day or the day after. So it probably serves its purpose very well, but it's a very, very clever way of doing it.
It's funny. I think it's funny. It really is.
Humans can be very good when it comes to that.
But if I see somebody planting a fucking plant in a pothole while I'm hurtling around the fucking corner, guess what? They got to move because, I ain't changing my trajectory. I'm powering. I'm taking the head off of that daisy. Get out of the way, bitch.
Can you imagine leaning into a corner and lifting your visor? That needs south facing sunlight.
Don't forget to water it regularly.
Prune 2 inches below the branch.
Oh god, it's come to some
fucking hilarious.
But it's expensive. Do you know what? Up until probably, I don't know, within the last 10 years, say, I've had 2 cars that have busted springs. So
Really?
Whereas before that, it had never happened.
Yeah. I actually bought.
Have you gained that much weight, Crumbly? Have you really?
Well, some might say yes.
I've had
I know I fucking have.
I've had two fronts. I've had 2 fronts snap on me for the very simple reason of potholes. One rear, but rear springs usually snap in the winter when your rear handbrake comes off and the car settles.
Yeah.
The cold causes a spring to shatter. So I've had that, but I've had 2 fronts to the point where I ended up buying my own spring compressor and doing it myself. So
really, yeah.
But I've noticed it because I've had to repair one of my dad's, my brother-in-law's. So they end up, you've got these spring hangs. Can you do mine?
Yeah.
You end up becoming a wee repair shop. But no, they have noticed that.
MC Belly's just put a comment up there. The best one he's seen is gnomes finished fishing in the pothole.
Oh, that sounds good. That sounds good.
That's fucking brilliant.
There was one on TikTok, and it was a Scottish guy went out and filled the pothole full of Cocoa Pops and milk and tried.
I've seen that. Yeah,
he's eating the Cocoa Pops. That's just a wee message to Strathclyde Council.
Yeah. I've seen that. That was funny. Yeah.
Jesus. Christ.
I don't know.
Okay. I like the gnomes one.
Aye, that sounds good. That sounds good.
So what could you fill potholes with in your local area? What could you find to fill them with?
Neds.
What?
Neds.
Neds.
Do you not know what Neds are? It's like the wee guys that run around with shell suits on. All right, man, how's it going? Any spare change?
They call them Neds. Above the border, they call them Nebs. South of the border, we call them Tabs.
All right, Marco, how you doing? You get any spare change?
Hey, Macca, hey, Macca.
The missus has left us and that. I need a bus fare and that to go up the road and that. I mean that, no.
It's like a subhuman species.
All I've got to say is Zed, are they all from Liverpool?
Yeah, kids. Yeah, kid.
Oh dear. Oh dear, no, that's racist. Poor sods, they can't help it.
Hey, Posty, where's me gyro?
Oh, dear. Oh, I mean, there is a few things. A few things you could foul them full. Oh man, car would be nice. Just foul them full of that. That'd be a wee idea.
My first thought was tarmac, but yeah, I think.
Do you know what I mean? And it's ironic that the country that invented tarmac Adams full of potholes. That irony doesn't escape me. Do you know what I mean?
Right, I've got a question. Right, is tarmac recyclable?
Yes, it is because of the bitumen.
Well, you can heat it.
You can regrind
Right.
it.
So the shit that's come out of this hole has got to go somewhere. So could they not just put it back in?
They could do. They could do. Have you ever seen the way Germany do it? Germany have got a machine that digs the road up at one end and lays it at the other. But as it digs it up, it's put into a hopper and it gets blended through a blender and gets laid at the back end again. So everything that comes out the road goes back into the road.
Yeah, because if you generate enough heat, it should break down and get turned to a soft.
Yeah, you know yourself. It's like when you see a road patch and it's had bitumen laid around it, which creates a seal around the crack. If it's hot enough during the day, you can stick your finger in it.
Yeah.
So the bitumen that's mixed with the aggregate or whatever it is, if it's hot enough, it will soften up again. So yeah, it is recyclable in that respect. What grade of tarmac it would give you, that's questionable.
Yeah.
But like I say, I've seen the machine that they've got in Germany, and it can lay stretches of road for fun. And it's digging it up at one end and it's laying it at the other. All it's got is a lorry that sits beside it that feeds it with fresh material, whether that's fresh bitumen or whatever it is that it's adding to it. But it's all going into the one and it's coming out the other end.
Yeah, because when they go over now at the moment before they do this surface grit that they use, they like you say, they scurify it up or something, don't they, with a machine?
Right. That's right. That's just to create a key. All it is to create a scarified surface. It creates a key that will grab whatever substructure they put down.
It must dig up some of the road. Where does that go? What,
Yeah.
A lot of that or something or what?
Yeah, a lot of time and that goes to like see like your a lot of the quarries take that what they call substrate. They'll take that back and they'll put that through like grinders and granulators and they'll sell it off as hardcore or whatever it is that goes into some sort of building material which gets used to basically create a flat surface before concrete gets poured or whatever else.
Yeah, right.
A lot less is certainly landfill that used to be. They use a lot more because I know that the building that I work in, we've just had an extension built, and we just had about I don't know how many square feet of concrete that was dug up. So they come in with a picker and they pick it all out, and that get taken away by a company in Scotland called Patterson's. It's a quarry, and they've got like a massive big it's like a granulator. Basically, the concrete drops in and it gets broken into sort of stone-sized pieces, and then it gets sent back out, and they use that for substrate before they put drainage in or whatever else and other jobs. So a lot of it is reused.
That's not so bad. They reuse it then.
I know. There's a couple of companies as well, like the likes of ABS, which is like a styrene. It can't be recycled. And there's a lot of companies that are looking at using granulated chips of ABS for creating road surfaces.
Oh, right.
So basically, they can actually lay a plastic road surface, and they say that it'll take 10 times longer to wear than a normal tarmac Adam road. I don't know how far along the road they are with actually getting into production or not, but I know that they've got the process down and with regards to manufacturing and that. But whether or not
it would make a lot of sense, but again, it's going to put somebody else's nose at a joint because they're not going to be working at it so much.
Well, it will, but then there are implications. We don't know what the environmental implications are to the degradation of ABS over time. So we don't know whether if we were to lay a whole infrastructure of ABS, but it was to turn out to be detrimental to public health, then that becomes an issue. So there's a lot of hurdles that they need to pass before they can get that into a mainstream.
It's a shame they didn't use that with diesel cars then, really, isn't it? Long term. Thinking it. But then, anyway. But they could do with some other sort of idea of using it on roads, really.
Yeah, aye.
What they're doing now don't really work.
No, it's like a lot of areas where you've got hard wearing, like, I don't know if it's like you guys have got it where you're staying yourselves, but like see any sort of bus deceleration zones. When a bus or a HGV has to decelerate, it stretches the road because of the weight of the weight of the vehicle. It pushes the road surface, and you end up with the ruts, and you see it, the folds rippling up on the side of the. So like as an architect, if you were an architect designing roads and you were walking about and you were seeing that, you must know that's an area that has to be looked at. You must think to yourself, right, okay, we've got heavy vehicles that are stopping, a lot of weight, a lot of energy getting put down onto that road, so we need to look at the substructure in this area. Now the way the sort of theory I would put behind this is, in World War II, when planes come back and they landed and they had millions of holes in them.
Yes.
Right? See the areas that the planes had holes in them. The engineers did nothing with them. Because they knew that a plane could survive getting impacted in the places where the holes were, because the plane made it back.
Yeah.
See the other areas that weren't hit, that was the areas they reinforced.
Yeah.
That was the theory behind it. And if you did that with roads as well, you wouldn't need to reinforce every part of the road, but you could reinforce the parts that were heavy wearing, like roundabouts, the lead ups to roundabouts, so on and so forth. Heavy braking zones.
We see it on motorways, don't
you? The approach of lots of roundabouts and heavy junctions and that. The road surface changes.
Yeah,
it becomes a heavy grip surface and all those things.
Well,
that never gets potholed.
No.
But on the motorways where lorries are on the inside lane all the time, they cut tracks in the motorway.
They do. You can feel it in the bike.
Yeah.
Feel it in the bike because you roll from one to the other if you're not familiar with it.
Yeah. Empty Belly's full. He's a mine of information, isn't he?
He is. He brought that up a little while ago, so I thought I'd show it. But,
Tarmac roads, yeah. Seen a lot in his lifetime, hasn't he?
He's about 305. Isn't
he's been around a while. In fact, when King Henry VIII decided to start the post office, Empty Belly signed the agreement.
Was he not the first postman? Postman Matt.
That was 580 something years ago. You can look it up, but yeah.
Jesus.
Oh, geez. I'll tell you what. When I started this discussion about potholes, I had in my mind a next subject we was going to move on to, and you know what's happened?
What?
I forgot it.
Oh, Jesus. So what's the logical next step from potholes?
Logical next step from potholes is usually my wife's private part, but no.
Really?
It's a fucking huge manhole, that is.
Assume she's not around and she's in bed or something, is she?
Yeah, she's gone to bed. That's why I can talk freely. Yeah.
Yes. Well, you never know who's listening.
Oh, she can watch back if she wants, but she'll only be beating me up later when I've got an excuse. So yeah, I say I did it for the fans.
Is Roland still around then?
He's still about, but he's got his son, so he
right.
can't come online. So
Okay.
yeah, sad, but I said bring him on. But there you go.
What about our very own Oracle MT Belly then? Is he?
MT Belly's got his grandkids there, so he couldn't
right.
join earlier. I don't know if all the
Should be
grandkids are asleep, MT, and you want to join us. If so, let us know. I'll drop a link. We've still got 10 other people watching on because I'm live on Facebook and YouTube.
Drop a link. And we'll see how Christopher Hamilton's going to beat me in his CBR 600 RR.
Yeah, then that's an interesting one because what do they do?
Oh yes, Christopher Hamilton, join us.
That must be some CBR 600.
I dare you.
Oh no, I bet it's like a 205 mile an hour, 300 brake horsepower version.
Yeah, it's a 600 with a fireblade.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I don't know about you, Zed. Whenever I get on the road on the 1400, I'm always worried that the 600 is going to overtake me.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. That's my main concern, mate. That's why I do my lifesavers, Simon. To be quite honest,
because you're always looking for that 600 that's going to be there before you.
Definitely, it's like an annoying bee just at the side of your helmet.
They're fast though. They're fast. These 600s, aren't they?
Oh, aye.
Jesus. I mean, look.
Lovely you. Nice to see you along, mate. Thank you.
675 Triumphs. I mean, they were good for what, 130 maybe, were they? The street triples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think by about 120 they had vibrated themselves to death.
I think by that 95 mile an hour, most of the 600s have vibrated themselves to death. At that point, they're hanging on for dear life.
Just imagine a dog like that.
By 600, actually, by 95 mile an hour, I think the vibrations have caused them to come, and they're quite happy.
Christopher, you're trying to say up to 100 miles an hour, your 600 is going to match my 14. I don't. No, mate. Sorry.
Is that why so many women ride 600s?
Might be.
I didn't say that.
Might be.
Not much, isn't it? Yeah, okay. It's smooth.
You actually
right? Okay, I'm just going to say this to Chris Hamilton. Right? Okay, you're talking to in actually on the show today. There are 3 very experienced riders, and 2 of us ride very, very big bikes, and Crumbly rides an ancient piece of crap. Never mind.
Used to be a big bike, but it ain't anymore.
No. And I'm not talking for Zed here when I say I have risen through the ranks. I've gone from 50 to 200 to 600 to 700 to 1,000, and I'm now at 14. And I can speak from experience when I say you're talking shit. Zed, over to you.
Yeah. Nah, it's not happening. It's not happening. It's like I've ridden a 600 and I appreciate your sentiment. But until you've ridden something that's bigger than a 600, then you don't understand the difference. The difference is like a Formula 1 car versus a Lada Samara, if you know what a Lada is. It's night and day. It really is.
On a straight no, and I'll tell you what, it depends on the rider. Hang on, bring that up again. On a straight no, the 600 isn't going to be anywhere near anything over a 600. When it comes to the bend, I'm going to tell you it depends on the rider. I have overtaken 600cc riders on my bike, and that's a touring bike. So. Twisty roads, yeah, I've done it as well. And again, it depends on the rider. If you put me on a 600 and you on my bike, I would leave you standing. But if you put me on my bike and you on your 600 on a twisty road, I would stay with you because it comes to experience and how you handle the bike. So, yeah, that's where I'm going to leave that one. What's your end, Zed?
Just move on. It's,
Yeah.
Nah.
What more can you say, really?
I thought we were going to start talking about chicken strips there.
Yeah, I thought we was, but there we go.
Know what I mean?
I'll put mine up if you want. Does it count when you got none? And I haven't scraped my foot pegs yet. So. Never mind.
What?
Moving on.
Yes. New subject.
He's got under your skins there, doesn't he?
No.
Think about the bowls.
Oh dear. I'm just honestly. I've got so much to say and I'm not going to say it.
Go on.
No.
Zed.
If nobody else does.
All right. Anyway.
Look, the bends don't matter because by the time after you've been on a straight, you'd be that far ahead, you could get off and walk around the bends before the 600 caught you up. So it wouldn't be an issue.
I love the way, Zed, you had to check and look that question.
And it's like, there's a line on your flag of blue tongue and nails. Like, no. It's all red and yellow.
Because Zed's got a proper Scottish flag, isn't he?
Yeah, lying rampant sitting there.
Yep.
But I've actually got one sitting there as well.
You notice the Scottish flag has only got one on them, and the English flag has got 3.
Is that not gay tigers that's on the...
Gay tigers.
Yeah, bastard.
Mm-hmm.
We're all waiting to see what Zed's replies. Here it goes.
No, it's fine. It's all good. It's all good. Just a dick swinging competition at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah. And we all know I've got the biggest, so.
Yeah. We all know I've got a small one because I drive such a big bike.
Mm. And mine's a tourer, so I must have the biggest.
I'm not saying nothing.
It's not about the size of your top box, Simon.
Wait, 56 litres got to count for something. Oh dear, fuck me, bless me. We go fucking wonky sideways very quickly.
Yeah, definitely. We're not in Kansas anymore.
No, we're not in Kansas.
Oh dear. I wonder what Big G's going to pick for his second bike. See, I thought Gareth was going to pick Indian after Sarah got one. I thought he was.
Do you remember that video he did a long time ago? He's talking about the Indian and how, and he was bigging up the Indians and how you get everything as standard. Where with the Harley you got to buy the extra.
Yeah.
I think because he's a cruiser guy, he's not anything else other than a cruiser guy now. Even though he's owned ZX10Rs and all sorts. I'm thinking he's going to go for a big it's going to be like a chieftain or something.
Yeah.
It's going to be. It's going to be the big Indian with the big bars. Yeah.
See, I think he got a wee bit disenfranchised with Harley when he looked at trading his bike in. Because, like I said in Rev's live stream, he knew the price of that bike, and they knew the price of that bike, and they tried to lowball him on it.
Yeah.
And I think because he's had 10 years worth of loyalty with West Coast Harley, I think he felt he deserved better than that. And I personally think he deserved better as well.
He's obviously spent a lot of money with them, hasn't he?
100%. 100%. Because bearing in mind, Sarah's got she still got, I can't remember whether she's still got the Harley as well. So that's 3 Harleys that they've got in their ownership as well as the Indian. So they've got the brand loyalty is undeniable. And I don't
when he went out and he done that video, he went out on Sarah's Harley and he done that video. I thought, wow, this guy is, he's not a Harley guy.
No, I definitely thought he's had his eyes open,
and because some of the things he said about what you get as standard, where you don't get with Harley, and as well, there was a message in that.
But see, do you not think? This might just be me, but do you not think that obviously, like, he's friends with quite a lot? He said that he was friends with one of the mechanics at Harley, so they're possibly following his social media as well. Do you maybe think that they've seen that video? As he's came in and said, "Listen, I'm looking to trade this bike in, and what can you give me for it?" When they know that quite possibly he could be trading it in for an Indian.
But as well, you've got to think of from the Harley corporate name, where you've got one employee that says to somebody local employee, well, this guy's think he said that, if he gets an Indian, he gets this and this and this. And I know exactly what Harley will say. They'll say, you know what, if you want to, let him.
Yeah.
Because that's the Harley attitude.
Yeah.
Because they're like, no, we're a big corporate name. If he wants to go to a lesser brand, let him. Although he's getting all this extra.
Well, Harley don't need Harley's American market is virtually, they control it, don't they? I mean, look at any YouTube video at any dude, like, it's all Harleys and it all looks the same.
But you look at the demographic of Harley riders regards to age, and you look at the trike market for Harleys is increasing because the demographic of Harley owners are all getting within an age where they feel that trikes are more practical bike for them.
Yeah.
You look at the lower end of that, the entry level bikers, they're not pulling many in.
But they have this new one out that's revier, isn't they? It doesn't even sound like a Harley. Have you heard that one? I can't remember what model it is now. But you ever see Darcy and the Old Man? They've tested a couple of them.
Right.
And one just sounded like a Honda. I mean, the thing was so revvy, it sounded nothing like a Harley at all.
Yeah. But the young market's a hard market to break into. It's like I play lawn bowls. I play lawn bowls when I'm not riding my bike. And if you were to ask anyone in the United Kingdom the demographic of people who play lawn bowls, people will say it's an old man's sport.
Yeah,
you could say the same about Harley Davidsons. It's like you ask younger bike riders, that's a bike my dad would own. I don't want to own a bike my dad would own. They're not ready for it yet.
Yeah.
And I don't.
I would be the same. Years ago, when I was in my teen, I wouldn't even have considered a Harley.
Yeah.
It was too agricultural, too slow. Well, I must admit, now I'm quite fancy one actually.
No, well, I'm exactly. I've been looking
over the hill.
Like I'm not. deny that for a minute. I've sat and I've actually walked around West Coast Harley as well, and I have looked, but I've never ever been in a bike shop and never felt any emotion whatsoever.
Yeah.
And the only time I felt emotion in West Coast Harley was a wheel that was on one of the bikes. I just loved the wheel. It was the design of the wheel. I loved it. I didn't like the bike because there was too much chrome on it.
Right.
And I don't understand somebody going to a shop and picking a bike and asking how many watts the stereo's got.
No, that doesn't appeal to me at all.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
If it's
I like the Harleys, and I've obviously ridden the electric and
You like electric ride, don't you?
that is the one I want. That is it. I only want one Harley Davidson. It's the electric ride, and it's got the built-in sat nav. It's got cruise control, and you control everything on it. And
there's a big fairing and everything. All the business.
Simon, do you think the electric glide would be practical in the United Kingdom?
No.
No.
And that's where Harley's problem lies. The bikes that they've designed are totally. I could understand. See if I went on holiday in America tomorrow, it's a Harley I would want to. I wouldn't want to sit in a sports bike doing 2,000 miles to wherever it is I'm going to. I want to be sitting on a sofa. I want to be listening to music I want to listen to. I want my GPS to be doing whatever. I want to have the comfort of the big seats and so on and so forth. That's what I want.
I rode from coast to coast on Florida, from east to west, and west to east. Sorry. And me and the wife on the back. I got all our clothes and everything else on the bike, and blah 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 blah. And we rode it, and I'll tell you what, we didn't in a day, and it weren't any stress. There was no stress, and Tracy even fell asleep on the back, and I had music playing all the time. It was just comfort riding, and that is what it was for.
But look at the roads out there, though. The roads are vast roads, and they go on for miles and miles.
You do get on the smaller roads sometimes, and you enjoy. And I'll tell you what, a Harley is flickable. You can push it around the corners, and you can lay it over and things like that. Because I have done it over there, quite famously. Well, not famously, but quite notoriously. And the wife will remind me of this every time. We was hurtling down the interstate at 80+ mile an hour, and the sat nav on the Harley Davidsons is such that it tells you take the next exit. It don't tell you beforehand. It don't tell you a mile beforehand that you want to move over. And so I'm all the way over. I'm all the way over in the fast lane. I'm doing 85 mile an hour. It tells me take the next exit. And as I look up, I can see like counterboard. So I'm pretty close. And so the cruise control comes off with a tap of the brake, and I start indicate and start laying the bike over, and I'm like, I'm heading to that exit. And I've sort of looked at the traffic. That's where I'm going.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing 80 mile an hour because I've only turned the traction control off. I haven't braked. So I'm still doing 80 mile an hour, and I'm crossing 4 lanes. And I'm checking on. Yeah, we're all good. We're going to make this. Give it a little blip. Yep, we're all good. 80 mile an hour. As I hit the slip road, there's a big round sign that comes up that says 40 maximum. Now, when anybody that rides or drives in America and they're out on the interstate, when their speed limit sign says 40 mile an hour maximum or whatever it is on a slip road, that is literally the most you ever want to do, because if not, you're going to die, because they are tight.
Right.
And we're going from one interstate to another. So I decided, okay, I've got two choices now. I can either abort this fucking exit and travel the next 35 miles to the next exit and come back, or let's see if we can make it.
Parachute, anchor.
I'm popping gears down because you don't want to brake at that sort of speed while pushing it into a corner. So I'm popping gears down, and the bike's making all these kind of rattly, banging noises. And I'm like, yeah, we're doing good. And I've laid the bike over, and I've just feathered the throttle, and we've got round this corner. We're on the next interstate, and I've looked left. I've got, oh, bang! I've opened the throttle, and off we gone. Set the cruise control back up again, 8 mile an hour. Thank you very much. And boom, off we gone. And Tracy's little voice from the back came and said, "You nearly fucked that up, didn't you?"
Well, she was pretty cool about it then.
She's the best pillion
Nails going in your back or anything.
No, she's the best pillion ever. Whenever anything like that happens, she will just let me get on with it.
Right.
She says, "I trust you. You will do it. And if you kill me, guess what? I'm haunting you for the rest of your fucking life." And she, I mean, she's a brilliant. I cannot stress how brilliant my pillion passenger is, Tracy.
Yeah,
I cannot stress it. There's been several occasions where I've done things very, very quickly and very, very fast, and I probably shouldn't have done because I had a pillion on. But because I trust her to do what I'm doing, and she trusts me to get on and get us out of it and make sure we live.
Yeah.
there's a trust level there. So she let me get on with it, and we came out of it. And she went, "You nearly fucked that up, didn't you?" I went, "Yeah, I did." She said, "Was that the sat nav's fault?" I went, "Yeah, it was."
Yeah.
But it's as for what kind of pillion she is. We hit a junction coming off the M25 near St Albans. Unbeknown to me, because I've never been that way before, it was a very, very short slip road. And as I've come off on the GTR, as I've come off the slip road at motorway speed, there was a World War II vehicle replica thing going bouncy on the fucking inside lane. I thought, I'm not seeing behind him on the roundabout. So I just did a quick flick and got myself to the right hand lane of the roundabout, and then realised the roundabout is there. You're on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so quick brake, change down, lay it in. So bum, and laid it into the corner. And as we got into the corner on this roundabout, because I'd already checked no traffic coming, as you do. As we got into this corner, this roundabout, I started to roll right, and I noticed another one of these World War II vehicles. And it was in the inside of the roundabout. And I thought, right, I've got to go around him now, because I'm not going to be able to slow down. Yeah. So I stood the bike up mid-corner, and then dipped again. As I got round him, I put the power on, and I pissed off up the fucking road. All this has happened in a matter of a few seconds. And we've gone round, bang, and I've tore off up the road, and all of a sudden this voice came over the intercom and the crash helmet and went, "You forgot I was here, didn't you?" And I literally did forget she was there, because it didn't feel like I had any extra weight.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like there was anybody fighting the bike. It didn't feel like anything. It's just, as I did what I did, she copied. So if you imagine you've got two riders on the bike, and as the body movement shifts, she shifted with me. And she could tell what I was going to do before I did it, which helped, because she's watching. Yeah. And yeah, she just copied. And yeah, it's best pillion I've ever had.
Yeah,
and
that's good. Because somebody on the back fighting you, it affects their hands.
If they're not pitching their body the same way as you are when you want to do something quickly, then you have to go an extra bit further, which then puts you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And then things don't feel natural.
Yeah, I've done it with people on the back heavier than me, and they can virtually control the bike.
Yeah.
By moving about,
Yeah.
You're fighting them.
The first time I ever took Tracy on the back of the bike, We was riding along, and she's loving it because she's got a brand new pink leathers on, and a bright pink chrome crash helmet, and she's feeling all the dolly bird and everything else. And we're out on the bike, and to her, it's no different to being out in the car. So she's like, whatever, blonde things this and blonde things that. Loving it. We headed down to a roundabout, and I had to brake a bit quickly because I thought the lights were going to stay on red, but they went green.
Yeah.
So as I brake quickly, she shifted slightly forward on the seat. And the lights are green, so I carry on. So I've started carrying on. I've got to that point on the roundabout where you're tipping the other way.
Yeah.
And she decided, because she moved forward on the seat, she now needed to move backwards.
Yeah.
And the bike did this.
Yeah.
And I went, what the fuck? And she panicked because the bike's moved all over the place and she don't know why. Yeah. And I've panicked because I thought, hello, the first day out on the bike and I've killed my wife. And I managed to get all under control, and I pulled up in a lay-by, and I said, right, okay, we're just talking over the intercom.
Yeah.
I said, right, okay. One thing you got to remember as a pillion, and I should have told you, is you can control the bike. He said, well, how do I do that then? I said, well, if you put your pressure one way or the other, or you lean one way or the other, the bike is going to go that way. Is it really? I went, yeah. I said, look, we're on a dual carriageway now, and it's like that for a few miles. I'm going to get up to 40 miles an hour. That's all I'm going to do. And I'm going to tell you what to do. She said, all right. So I got up to 40 miles an hour, and I said, right, press down with your right leg. If you press down with your right leg, the bike went that way. I said, now press down with your left leg. He went that way. I said, now move your body to the right. She went like that, and the bike went that way.
Yeah.
Right, the bike went that way. It was a case of that for a couple of miles, and she said, "You're doing that." I went, "No, I'm not."
Yeah.
I said, "I will put my hands like this on the bars, just to hold the accelerator, and that's it. You do it again. You do it again." And I said, "You are controlling the bike. So when we're out together, you got to think about that." She went, "Oh, right, okay." And all she did was she came home and she watched about an hour's worth of YouTube videos on how to be a pillion.
Oh, good girl, though. Good girl for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we went out, the next time we went out, she said, I'm ready now.
Yeah.
The next time we went out, perfect.
Yeah.
It helps because we're quite in sync. Tracy and I are quite in sync with everything we do. We sort of like matched up, if you like, mentally. And we went out the next time and we was doing this and I went, this is great. She said, yeah, I'm loving it. After that day, it was like, do you fancy fish and chips? Yeah, where are we going to go? Should we go to Southend? Yeah, why not? We going on the bike? Yeah, absolutely. Jump on it. Boom.
That would never happen for me. Never.
It doesn't happen for a lot of people, but it happened for me, and I'm so fortunate that. I mean, Tracy's going to be out with me on Sunday for the MK bike show.
Yeah,
it's rare now we get out together on the bike.
Yeah,
but when we do, I love it, and she loved it as well. And we was filtering through traffic once. Now, normally when we filter through traffic, Tracy's knees will come up because I can feel them pressing against my legs and hips, and she's sort of trying to make us feel skinny.
Yeah.
And I'm just sort of like, relax, just relax. And then one day I'm filtering through traffic, and I can see her arms out. I'm like, what are you doing? She said, I'm flying. She was that relaxed. She was like, but she also, because she watches the road, if a car moves over while she's filtering, she'll give them the thumbs up and thank you and all the rest of it. She does all of that as well while she's sitting on the back. So she's actually concentrating on what I'm doing and riding while not doing it. So it's great. I mean, she's the best pillion I've ever had. She's fallen asleep on the back of my bike 3 times.
Well, that's being totally relaxed, isn't it? If you can do that. Christ.
I know when she does it as well, because the internet can go silent, because normally she's fucking like that. But she sits there and she puts her hands between her legs because I can feel them on my back. She put her hands down, and all of a sudden it all goes quiet, but she don't move.
Yeah.
And I'll be riding and riding and riding. I'll take a few minor bends, nothing. As soon as we come up to any serious bends, I'll tap her on the leg, and she'll go, hello, and then the intercom will go beep beep to come back on, and she go, you're right. I go, yeah, we're just going into the bends. You're right. Did you fall asleep? She go, no.
Liar.
But that she's got the trust in me. I've got the trust in her, and
it works.
There's a certain magic
it's
thing
a rare
about
thing.
it.
It is like you say, it's a rare thing.
I know Andy has it with Michelle. They always go out on the bike together, and they got knowledge together and everything else. And Andy said it to me. We're lucky our wives share our. It's not a passion. I wouldn't say it's a passion.
Wouldn't you?
They share our love of going out on the bike.
Right. Okay.
You know. So we're quite fortunate there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've spoken enough. That's bollocks.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a hell of a difference having a Pillion on that knows what to do and is in sync with him. But not for me these days.
Here he is. Hang on. Here he is. Rolly.
Oh,
Yeah, Rolly.
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening. How are we?
Not bad.
Awesome. We're even better now you're here.
yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to come up and my son dropped around, and him being a shift worker, we don't catch up that much. So, thought I'd say good day, catch up a bit, and then he cruised off. And whilst he was here, we just ordered a new exhaust for his Victory Judge, so that's all right.
Wow. That's not a cheap item, I don't expect, is it?
Yeah. What have you guys been up to? Much?
No, not a lot. Just
Living the dream.
yeah, living the working dream or the nightmare.
I caught a bit about council and roadway. I think is that what you guys were talking about? The roads, condition of roads and stuff.
Yeah. How does Australia control the finances with regards to roads? So obviously, we've got a road fund license that we have to pay, which should be contributed towards repairing the roads, but doesn't. If you were to look at the statistics as opposed to how much money our revenue is generated, as opposed to how much money is spent annually, there's a massive difference between the income and the expenditure.
I'm not sure the funding side of things, but because our weather's not as extreme as yours in terms of from snow to heat, our roads don't seem to get as bad.
Yep.
But it's probably the same where you guys are. They seem to resurface roads that were quite okay in the first place, but leave the really shitty ones.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to make much sense. But but I'm not sure the funding. I think the funding is a federal government, or the roads are done by the federal government here.
Uh-huh.
Do you pay
They're pretty reasonable.
Do you have a road tax, though, do you, for your vehicles?
No, not that I'm aware of.
All right. Wow, that's good.
No, we just have motor registration and insurance, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
You have a safety inspector or anything like that?
MOT?
Not in our state. No. Over in the eastern side of the country, they do the inspections like you guys. I think they're once every year. But in the state I'm in, no, they don't.
What, and that goes for cars?
What state is it you live in? I want to come join you.
I live in the state's called South Australia. Yeah. So yeah, no, we don't have MOTs or anything like that.
Right.
But if you do get pulled over by the police for anything, that's their opportunity to go right through your car, and if they can defect it, they will.
Right, I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you haven't kept your car to a standard and they pull you over and they find it's below standard, you can get charged. Yeah. Or,
Yeah, you'll get defected. Your vehicle will be instantly defected. You'll have to get it towed home, and then it has to get all the work done on it that's been listed on their sheet, and then go to motor registration to their engineering department to be inspected. And that can be a thorough pain in the butt when it happens, because you never pass first time. They always find something.
even something the policeman didn't find at the side of the road, they'll find.
Yeah. But road tax as such, no. And only in the eastern states do we have a road toll on certain roads.
It's one of my friends that comes over to visit from time to time, Andy. He stays in Switzerland, and some of the legislations that they have with regards to bikes is. Hold on a wee second.
Right. Zed is playing with his wire.
Hang on, just while you're doing that, I've got to let a cat out, so give me a sec.
Go on, go for it.
Yeah,
he's got to let a cat out, Zed. He's gone.
All right, okay. I sat in my earphones cut off. See, when you're listening to yourself on your earphones and then you start talking, they cut off. It's like so distracting.
I did explain to him that you was playing with your wire, and
that's what it was. That's what it was.
Bless you.
I am back.
Here he is.
There you go. Okay, Stu, off you go.
Yeah, so my friend Andy, who stays in Switzerland, is like when they've got bikes, say he's got a bike from the 1980s and it needs a repair. The part that gets put onto the bike has to be of the same era. So
really?
It either has to be a historical part or an original part, but still from the same era as the bike is manufactured. It can't
only
be
OEM parts then.
Sorry.
Only OEM parts then.
Yes, yeah, and every time that you replace a part, you then have to retest the bike.
Wow.
He had an MT-01 that he brought over to the UK, and he actually dropped it when he was in the UK, and the amount of hassle that he had to get it back into Switzerland was ridiculous.
Wow.
Because of the legislation that they have when it comes to older bikes or bikes in general. It's the legislation's so tight. As I say, if they do any replacements of any parts, they will check to make sure that it's a part of the same era, same generation of bike. It doesn't have to necessarily be the same exact year, but it has to be within that generation of bikes for it to comply to whatever regulations they've got. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Wow.
So if you had
our state for some reason is quite lax with registrations and all that sort of stuff. I mean, like here, if you've got a car or a motorbike and you decided to just put it in the shed and not register it, it can stay that way indefinitely, and even 20 years down the track, you can go to Motor Reg and just instantly re-register it, and it's back on the road. No inspections, no nothing.
Right, so I mean, they're not even checking the age of the tires or anything. It's just straight away.
And my Charger, my Chrysler Charger, that has had a V8 in it for the last 30 years, and it's still registered as a 6-cylinder.
Right.
Two of them aren't connected.
It just grew a couple of cylinders. That's all.
Two of them aren't connected. That's all.
Just
it is.
matured with age.
Yeah, and you know, if I ever get pulled up for it, I'll just go, "No, man, that's how it always was." I don't know.
So the insurance out there wouldn't have a problem with that then, no?
No,
Bloody hell.
no, it's insured as a V8, but it's registered as a 6.
All right, okay. There's no issue there then. Actually, I think over here they get funny, wouldn't they, insurance companies these days? If you had a V8 in a V6 car or something, they don't like
see that. So
They only get funny when they've got to pay out.
Yeah. So what would happen is they would allow you to insure it. And then what would happen was if you were unfortunate enough to be involved in an accident, the insurance assessor that came out would scrutinise the vehicle within an inch of its life. And if it wasn't as described when you insured it, they would hold you liable. Your insurance would be null and void.
The only time it would get that to that degree is if there was a fatality.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, like our insurance, UK insurance companies would do that to get out of a claim, let alone because of a fatality. Yeah. Because like I work with a joiner that comes into our factory on a consistent basis. He's got a works van, and it was parked outside his house, and on a private driveway, I hasten to add. And we had really, really severe high winds. And what happened was a couple of slates come off the roof and they hit the top of the van. So he phoned his insurance, as you would, because the van's been damaged. And the insurance company came out, and the assessor came out with his wee briefcase, and he opened the briefcase and he took out the documentation and he checked the registration of the van and so on and so forth. The first thing that he brought out was a tread depth indicator. And John, whose van it was, said, "What are you doing?" "I'm making sure your tyres are legal." And he said, "I'll stop you right there. The car is not even on the public highway. It's parked in my driveway. It isn't necessarily getting used at the moment. So you cannot check it to see whether tyres are legal or not because it's not on a public highway. It's parked in a private drive."
Property,
and he's like, "It's part of the protocol of the insurance company. It's something I have to do. It's not me personally." And this is what they do. They come in and they scrutinise your car. They'll check tyre pressures. They'll check tread depths, all sorts to see whether there's anything that they can actually see whether you're not complying to maybe maintenance schedules or whatever it is they feel that they can get you on.
It's illegal in the UK to not have insurance, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
It's not here.
Even you've got even a bike that's parked up now. a bike that's parked up must have insurance. If you've sawned the bike, it still has to have insurance.
Really?
Yeah, it's like when you sawn the bike when it's registered as off the road. It's like a statutory off-road notice. That's what sawing stands for. Yeah. So you don't pay road tax on it. You still have to pay insurance, but you can insure it for fire and theft and not for road use. So you can put it on a restricted insurance, which only insures it for being parked, not necessarily to be ridden. But it still needs to legally be insured.
Yeah, right. Jeez.
Yeah, they don't make it easy.
No, they don't.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But then, so my argument is like I'm restoring the ZX9 just now. It doesn't have wheels on it. So what constitutes a motor vehicle?
Well, that's it.
Wheels on it.
Yeah.
Got to have wheels. So like it's like mine's is on axle stands just now. It's no nearer a bike than the bench that the wheels are sitting on. Do you know what I mean? So like, why should I be insuring it? But I understand why they do it. It's like they're trying to cover themselves.
Yeah.
I'm sure many a bike's been lifted that was in bits as well that people have lost out in. So I can understand it, but it's just legislation gone mad a wee bit, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I only upgraded my brake lines, and I had to tell them I changed the brake lines on my bike.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
it was an improvement, but to them, it's
I
can see it as that.
It's like if you get involved in an accident and you've got a back box on, and you haven't told them you've modified your bike to take
Yeah.
a back box because you put a certain frame on and all the rest of it. You could, they'd argue that.
I
Yeah.
tell them everything. I think it's like the ZZR's B-Moto it's with, and it was 44 teeth from the UK. It's like Al Fagan and Chris. I can't remember. Chris Eads, I think his name is. It was Baron von Grumble. That's their website, and they promote B-Moto. And to be quite honest, this is an insurance company that's for bikers by bikers.
Yeah.
I've got the platinum cover, which is roadside recovery, European recovery, all sorts of different benefits, leathers, pillion, insurance for lawyers and so on and so forth. But when you turn round to them and say, listen, I've got this exhaust, I've got this rear sets, I've got this grips, I've got this, and this, that, they're like, that's fine. Thanks for letting us know. And to be quite honest, policy price differences, it didn't increase as much as you think.
Oh,
So
no.
my opinion would be as honest as you can, and see if an insurance company is increasing the insurance quote exponentially every time you tell them a modification. They don't understand bikes, and you shouldn't be insuring with them in the first place.
Yeah. Do you
My,
have a
my bike has
insurance
got.
company?
Sorry, Rolly.
Do you guys have a dedicated, or do you guys have dedicated motorcycle insurance companies?
There are a few. Well, B-Moto, I don't think it does cars, does it, Simon?
No.
B-Moto, I think that's predominantly bikes, but there aren't a lot of.
There's no dedicated insurance motorcycle companies. They,
Oh, okay,
they all
wow.
do everything.
And what's insurance worth
There's
per year?
a couple like MCN or MCE that only do
Yeah.
motorcycle.
Yeah,
Like sure.
Bike
Aye.
or,
but I think even them go to other companies to underwrite it for them. They don't actually underwrite it themselves.
Yeah.
They're taking on your information and then passing it on to a sort of
they, a lot of them are brokers only.
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Well, to fully comprehensively insure both my bikes and fire and theft is around about $280 a year each.
That's
Okay.
not bad.
Aye.
Yeah, which is not bad. Yeah, not bad at all.
That's not bad. I mean, my bike,
Yeah.
I pay just short of £200 a year for my bike alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My GTR 1400.
Yeah.
I'll pay £200 a year for that. That's fully comprehensive insurance.
Yep.
And I've got business use on it. So
Yeah. There's a lot of theft, motorcycle theft in the UK, isn't there?
there is, but
Yeah.
a lot of that theft is lower CC motorcycle.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, a 1400 would be pretty hard for some kid to walk up to, steal, and think he's going to get away with it and still be alive. You know.
He'd be dead by the time I got to the end of the road and it's second gear.
That's
Yeah.
right. Exactly.
But a lot of theft in the UK is the 50 to 125 range,
Yeah.
and they're after the twist and go stuff.
Yeah.
And they will do a lot of the 300, 500 cc twist and go, the X5 and whatever they're called.
Yeah.
I know, Piaggio do X300 and something else. They are high cc bikes, and they're twist and go, and that's the ones they want because they can rob and they're off. So, but as I said to my son when he started riding, he bought himself a little 125. I said, make sure you lock it up everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, "What? Same as what you do?" I said, "No, I don't lock mine up." I said, "I could leave the keys in my bike, leave it unlocked and everything ready to go, and then cut the padlock off your bike and steal yours."
Yeah. See, there's something to be said for having the 1400, really, isn't there?
I don't want it. It's too big,
Theft,
it's too heavy, it's too wide.
It's slower than a 600cc.
Yeah.
No, let's not go there again.
The only motorcycle theft we get here is if someone's pulling their own insurance job.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that low, is it?
Let's face it, Roland. Right? Okay. In your community, if you identified a bike thief, would he not end up in a hole somewhere?
Oh, yeah, probably.
Well, in this country, we haven't got enough holes.
Yeah.
The country's full of arseholes and there's nowhere to put a motorcycle thief.
The
Yeah,
road's got
right.
plenty of holes.
I'll tell you, it oh God, what does it come down to? It comes down to the fact of how the country evolves and what you do and how you deal with things, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got friends that live in America, and I've got a friend that lives in a certain part of America where they are very how do I put this? They are very like I'm entitled to carry a gun, and if you cross me and I believe I'm in danger, I'm perfectly entitled to shoot you and kill you, and that's fine. You know, it's one of those kind of cultures.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting down with this guy one day, and I'm having a beer, and we're having a chat, and I'm saying, "Well, what do you do with your problems you get?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Okay, right, okay, you have problems in your society, and there's this person that's doing this, or this person that's doing that, and da, 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 da." And he went, "I still don't understand what you mean." I said, "Okay, you got these people that are complete fucking arseholes, and they are doing bad things, and everybody knows about it, but the police will not be doing anything. What do you do with them?" And all he did is he swiveled his chair slightly to the left, and he said, "You see that woods?" I went, "Yeah." He said, "That's where all my problems are."
Wow.
And I said, "So you don't have any problems anymore?" He said, "None that are living." That's how they deal with things. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Zed pays 1,200 for insurance. Is that right?
Yeah, I've also got a bike that's slower than a 600cc, but that's by the by.
Have you got a Honda Melody with a fucking basket on it? Because they push the insurance way up. I'll pay less than 200 for
You
mine.
pay $1,200 for insurance, really?
No, I don't.
Some people might do, but
Yeah.
not.
Wow. That'd be amazing if you did. Christ.
Yeah, it's nearly as expensive as Christopher's bike.
Mine was 140 next year. No, this year. 140 I paid.
140.
Yeah.
Does that go for size? Does it depend on the size of the bike or the value of the bike? From you?
They classify insurance now on the type of bike you got, and they factor in your age and then what you're going to use it for.
Yeah. Mileage and age of bike too, isn't it? If it's a more modern bike.
Yeah, right.
If you've got a modern
there's probably about 7 or 8 different things they factor in when doing insurance.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know if Roland, see when you insure a bike, do you have no claims bonus?
Yes.
Yeah, so like obviously we have that being one of the factors. One of the factors that I've heard from insurance companies that they try and factor in is the cost of materials. The cost of materials for repairing your bike at the present day.
Yep.
And I got a quote and I phoned them up, and that was one of the reasons that they gave. That I think it was about a £20 or £30 for the annual fee that they'd increased it. And I said, wait a wee minute, I've ridden now for 13 years. You're now telling me I'll give you a monkey. Right. Better be a monkey with £6,000 in its pocket. It's like you're telling me that because I've got 13 years no claims bonus, that I'm going to have to pay more money because you might think that you have to fork out more for repairing my bike if I have an accident. I'm like,
yeah,
no.
right.
I said, I'll tell you what, I'll just cancel it. And then it was the old favourite. Oh, hold on, Mr. Anderson, I'll go and speak to my supervisor. And they came back to me, a one-time deal for being a good customer and loyalty and so on and so forth. You're like, nah.
No, we have here. You can take on a new for old policy. So irrespective of how old your bike is, if it gets written off, you'll get a new one. Of the same ilk, or you can have an agreed value, whereby you establish an agreed evaluation of the bike from the onset of the insurance, and then that stays with you the whole time you maintain the policy. Or you can just go, what is it called? I think general valuation, which is just market value, whatever the bike's valued at the market at the time. If it gets written off, that's what you'll get.
You see what I mean? Like I know I worked with a guy who he saved a lot of money to buy the car that he ended up buying, and his wife was driving it, and a taxi driver ran into the side of him, and because it was a side impact and there was the side curtain airbag deployment, the insurance company, that's an automatic write-off because the roof lining, whatever, gets disturbed. So even though it's a repairable car, they put it off as an insurance write-off. So the car to him was worth 10 grand, but they were only offering like 5.5, possibly 6. Now, in my opinion, the insurance company should have honoured his valuation of that car, and they don't do that in the United Kingdom. They try and lowball you and try and get out of the insurance claim as cheaply as they can, and I don't think it's right, because every person who pays insurance puts enough money into the system to compensate for what they're doing, but they're trying to maximize their profits. That's the be all and end all.
Well, I think here only 8% of the population of the average insurer is making a claim per annum, which is extremely low. The other 92% have just given the insurance company money for nothing for the whole year. So, but I've got I've got agreed value on both my bikes. So if they get written off, I know exactly what I'll be getting. You know what I mean?
That's fine.
Yeah, you can't get that here.
No. That's a pity. It's a good way to go, because I mean, irrespective of the item, forget it's a motorbike, forget it's anything. You're insuring a lump sum of money, and if that gets lost, then you get it replaced.
As far as I'm concerned, you should be put back into the position you were the minute and second before the accident actually occurred. You should not be in any financial hardship whatsoever. Even if it came to the fact that your vehicle was written off and the shortfall in your insurance never covered what you still owed in the bike, I think the insurance company should still honour that and clear you so you can walk away from that scot-free, because at the end of the day, it wasn't your fault.
No.
If it never happened, If it never happened, you'd still be making your payments. You'd still be on your obligations. It was the simple fact that you were involved in something that was non-fault of your own. Why should you be out of pocket for it?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, one, you won't have your vehicle. Two, you'll still have outstanding credit, and three, you're still going to have to look for another vehicle to go about your sort of daily, day-to-day sort of living. I don't agree with it. The insurance, it's all wrong. It's all biased towards the insurance companies.
The whole idea of insurance is to cover all your loss.
Yeah.
But over the years, they've bent that to advantage themselves.
Yeah, but it happens all over. I saw a documentary, and it was an American guy, and sadly his wife contracted cancer. The two of them worked all their life. They paid medical insurance all the way through their life. His wife contracted cancer, and the medical insurance was paying for her chemotherapy and whatever. But sadly, he had a heart attack in the midst of her having cancer treatment. That was paid for. He then had a second heart attack, which the result of that was that he needed a triple heart bypass, and his insurance company turned around and said, "I'm not covering you, and we're no longer covering your wife." So him and his wife were with the same medical insurance company from the minute they started working to present day. God knows how much money they put into that system, and they turned around at a certain limit and said, "You've reached your limit. We're not covering you anymore." They had to sell their house, their car, to carry on the medical expenses. How can that be fair?
Ridiculous.
How can that be fair?
Wow,
it's a scam, isn't it?
Disgusting.
It's like we'll insure your car, but if your car's going to cost us too much money to compensate you for, we're only going to offer you this. No.
Yeah.
If I'm paying for insurance, I want that insurance to cover what I value the car at, not what they value it at. I'm not interested in what they value the car at, because they're not going to value it the same as me. It means more to me than it does to them.
Yeah.
I have a friend who bought a Fireblade and he had it on HP, and he had to get a second insurance to cover the gap.
Oh, the gap insurance, yeah. See,
yeah.
That's just another scam.
Yeah.
It's just another scam by insurance companies. That's my whole point. It's like, if you're insuring a bike, it should insure it for the full.
For what you paid for.
Because what that is like, if you buy that off a forecourt for say £5,000, you've paid payments on that for 12 months, and maybe the market value of that bike's only £2,500 to £3,000, and you have an accident, you still have financial liability for maybe £6,000 because of the interest rate and stuff like that. I don't agree with that at all.
No.
Wow.
I think personally, if you're taking out finance on a bike, when you insure a bike, it should insure the finance and not the cost of the bike.
Yeah. It doesn't though, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Insure your finance, not your bike.
Yeah.
Mm.
And how's the cost of fuel, you guys? Pretty up there, or?
Oh, fucking don't get me started.
I've just sold my youngest daughter to pay for a tank of gas for the
bike. I've stuck 90 quid's worth of fuel in my bike this week alone.
Wow.
Jesus. How many miles you done this week, Simon?
Oh, fucking, I'll tell you what.
A lot.
I know on Wednesday alone I did 200 miles.
Yeah,
215 actually on Wednesday alone.
Yeah.
On Monday it was probably 100 and something. Tuesday it was only around 60, and Thursday and Friday 60 each day. So yeah.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
That's scary.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
In one day, I put 66 quid's worth of fuel in my bike. So
in a
I
day?
filled up in a day. I filled up before I started work on the Monday, and I started doing my work. On the Wednesday, I had to go to Birmingham and then to Hemel, so I filled up in the morning. That was 32 quid. And when I came home, I put 34 quid in. And then this morning, I put another 24 quid in. So.
Jesus. Do you get a handsome fuel allowance? You must do.
No. I used to get a handsome fuel allowance when it was only 120 a litre, but yeah.
Bloody hell.
That's grim.
Yeah.
They must
So
pay.
does work pay for your fuel, or you pay for it?
I pay for it normally, but when I have to go to certain events like in Birmingham, and I've been to Oxford twice this week and things like that, I can claim the mileage to there and to my next destination. So
yeah,
that's what I've done. But yeah, it's pretty grim. It's pretty grim.
Bloody oath. That's shocking.
What's the price in where you are then, Ronnie?
We go by litres, and we're $2.40 a litre.
240. What's that equate to?
Someone quickly, Zed, convert that into pounds.
Oh my god.
240 to British pound. That's all you got.
Do you guys buy per litre or gallon?
Yeah, per litre.
Per litre.
Yeah, we buy and do everything per litre, then we calculate everything per gallon.
That's about 135.
That's not bad then.
Fucking ridiculous, isn't it?
135 a litre.
So what we pay?
We're paying 190 something a litre. So.
What's that in Australian dollars then?
That'll
Right,
be
so
about
if I-
fucking 3.5 quid.
So if I go 190, that's $3.37 a litre in the UK.
So we're paying half as much again.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a for every Australian dollar, it's 0.56 pounds sterling. So it is about for every dollar Rolly's spending, we're spending for every 50 cents he's spending, we're spending a pound. So it's pretty much half. Pretty much half.
Pretty much half. Yeah, right. Jeez.
So a litre for us just now, Rolling's $3.37 a litre.
Anyway, Rowley, all three of us are coming to live with you.
Get an extension bill.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah, well, your gas is going up berserk too, isn't it? Your cooking gas. Yeah.
The price of everything is going up because apparently there's a war with Ukraine.
Yeah. How that really affects things, I don't know, particularly over here, because they've been using that excuse as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
you're not using that nasty Russian gas, are you, Rowley?
No, we're not. But all the same, they've used it as an excuse to put the price up. You know.
Yeah, they're
let's not get me on the rant on the fucking CEOs again, because
it's bullshit, really. I mean, we got our own gas. We got heaps of gas. We got heaps of oil. Heaps of bloody everything, and we're not using it. We're not pulling it out the ground. No. We're buying it in from overseas.
There's a nationwide sort of doctorate as it is just now, because OPEC are restricting the manufacture of fuel at the moment, and as far as I'm concerned, it's to inflate prices and keep prices high, and the politicians are there to basically blame it on Russia. So we'll all sit back and go, "It's fine, it's because of Ukraine, but we're doing this for Ukraine. We're all behind Ukraine. It's nothing to do with the war that's happening between Russia and Ukraine, because Scotland just now has got 2 oil fields that they're not even allowed to tap into just now, and there's about 200 to 300 million barrels of oil sitting there that we're not allowed to touch.
Yeah.
If Scotland was to start refining that oil tomorrow, within 2 weeks, our price of fuel could be down to £1.10 a litre, easy.
Yeah.
So
and they won't do it. It's political. Political. I can't tell you why it's the case. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because
if you guys want to sell up and come over here and work, you're doing all right, because they just advertised this morning. We got 500,000 job vacancies going at the moment.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, Rowley, let me get my Class 1 license. I'm coming. Yeah.
Are you looking for gigolos at the minute?
Possibly. I mean, they've got it. You've got to.
How many professional bowls players you got in your country? Because Stu would come if he on his way.
There's quite a lot. There's quite a lot of good bowlers down in Australia. Some of the best bowling greens.
Yeah.
Right.
So what do you do? What do you do, Zed? What do you do for an income?
I'm actually to trade. I'm a maintenance engineer, but I'm a sort of warehouse supervisor at the moment.
Okay.
My company's sort of in.
He walks around naked with his shirt off, going, "Hey, girl, hey, girl."
Sometimes try to tempt the CBR 600 riders into races. How you doing?
Yeah, he's a CBR 600 race.
Bloody hell.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, no, cost of living here has gone up. I suppose it's the same for everybody all over the place. And the house prices are going down, which is good. So, the house market the bubble's burst.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be global as well.
Yeah. They're kind of saying that's happening here as well. I don't know if Simon, did you notice that? Can you remember in the 2008 credit crunch when we had the massive housing market crisis?
Yeah.
They basically signed a directive to say that they weren't going to allow people to buy houses over 2.5 times their salary.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that they've just relaxed that, and you can now buy a house 8 times?
Yeah.
8. I'll just repeat that: 8 times your salary. Yep.
Jesus.
They're trying to stimulate the housing market, and this is what caused the crash in 2008.
Yeah.
And they're doing it all over again, because what's happening is the housing market's stagnating. The people at the top end of the ladder aren't moving on, so they're not allowing the fresh buyers to come onto the market, and they can't build new houses fast enough.
Yeah.
Is that in Scotland you're talking about, Sid?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether it's just in Scotland, but I saw
it's all over. It's all over.
Is it UK?
Because where I am, things are going on the market and going off the same day. It's really hot there.
Yeah. But that's the way it was before 2008, before the crash. You could have put windows in a shoebox and sold it for £100,000.
That's right.
It's like
it left a lot of people in negative equity too, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, mortgage interest rates are going up too, aren't they?
Yeah, they will be.
They are here as well. Yeah, we're going to.
Yeah,
they will be. I'm fortunate in the sense that I'm still on a fixed rate. I think I've got another year on the fixed rate before I have to worry about shopping about for the cheapest option again.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
I don't have a mortgage, so. But my son's just bought a house. But luckily, he's got a very good job that pays quite well. But they've already raised it like 3% in the last 12 months.
Are they? So what's it topped out now then?
I think the current interest rate now is about 3.9 or 4, around 4%, and they reckon it's going to go up another 3% by the end of the year.
Yeah,
6%.
Yeah.
Wow.
When I bought into the housing market 1 trillion years ago, I was paying 17.5%.
Yeah.
It went stupid after the crash, didn't it? Too. I mean, the team, wasn't it?
I think when I locked When I looked in, I think it was about 3.75.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And I tied into that for a few years because the trend was that it was going up, and it's actually kind of sort of relaxed and went back again. But the way it's going just now, it's like it's going to overtake where I am just now. But it's a gamble. It's any decision you make. It's like
yeah. If you got money in the bank, you're only getting a 0.25% on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I think over here, if you've got money in savings, the highest you can get is 0.1%.
Yeah, that's pathetic. That's really pathetic. I mean, you think about it. You go to the bank and you say, I want a personal loan for a car, and they'll charge you like 8 to 12%.
Yeah.
And yet the money they're using for it, which is everybody's cash,
is the money there? Yeah.
They're only giving 0.1. Yeah.
0.1%. I mean, what a markup that is.
Yeah, they're creaming it in, and
They are.
Mm-hmm.
I think it comes under the title of bastards.
Yeah. Well, it's banks for you, isn't it? I mean, they caused the crash in the first place not long ago in 2008, isn't it?
Yeah.
But don't forget, all governments gave the banks millions of pounds to get out of the shit they were in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, all banks gave all their CEOs huge fucking bonuses for, thanks for getting us out of that shit.
Yeah. Right. Because they went to the bank's they went to the government's cash in hand, saying, "Oh, we're skint. We're all going to close, and we promise we'll behave. We promise we'll do whatever you ask." And the government turned around and said, "Well, we want you to do this. We want you to do that." And they said, "Yes, we will. Please give us the money." They got the money, and they just turned around and went like, "Nah, you know what? We're not going to do that. We'll just do our own thing."
You're gonna get me back on the rant about the fucking CEOs earning thousands of pounds and standing in front of a camera telling the fucking workers we can't afford to give you anything.
Yeah. What country was it that stood by the people? Was it one of the was it Norway? Was it Finland or something like that?
Well, it probably wasn't this one, I can tell you that.
Finland.
It wasn't this one either. No.
It was like either Norway or Finland or like Iceland or one of those countries that turned around and said, "You know what? We're not standing by the banks. Any bank that goes under because they've mismanaged." Yeah. They basically see. Can you imagine? Right. Just say, for example, how much was it that the UK government pumped into British banks?
Jesus.
A couple of $100 billion, was it?
Yeah.
Of taxpayers' money. Yeah. You say, for example, they took that £200 billion and they divided it up by the 65 million population in the United Kingdom and gave us it all and told us to spend our way out of the recession. Buy cars, buy this, buy that. We would have been out of the recession faster than we were.
Yeah.
And the United Kingdom would be in a far better place.
Yeah.
But they gave it to the money men. And what did they do? They gave their bosses bonuses. They made the rich richer and the poor poorer. And what's happening now? We're paying for it. The taxpayers paying for it. We're paying back the
what you got to say is what you're asking yourself is where all these bosses live that earn these big bonuses because they didn't pay tax in this country.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's all sorted away abroad, isn't it?
Yeah. They do everything they can to avoid paying tax in this country, like Amazon do, and the money went abroad, and it don't come back into the economy.
Well,
so,
I think you'll find a lot of the money comes into the City of London.
Yeah.
And the City of London's not part of the United Kingdom, I hasten to add.
No, it ain't.
The Queen has to ask permission to enter the City of London.
That's right.
And that's a fact.
Yeah.
And to let you know, Rolly, the City of London's the financial capital of the world, and it's actually a borough within London itself.
Is it Westminster? Is it Westminster Borough? Yeah.
No, it's not.
No, it's
it's the old City of London. If you follow the old city
the old boundary wall.
Yeah.
The old Roman wall that goes around London. If you look at that map, that's it.
Wow.
It's the London Mile.
Yep.
And isn't it some duchy or something that is in control of it or something?
It's
permission or something.
it has its own mayor.
Bank of England is in
Yeah,
charge of it.
it's his own mayor. Actually, I watched a whole YouTube thing about it. It was like a whole group of financial sort of people very, very high up in the financial market, and they were discussing it with politicians and stuff like that. And it's an eye opener when you listen to what legislation and what how far out with the UK government and legislation that they are, and they don't have to comply with, and so on. And this is where all the oligarchs' monies came from, and this is all getting swept under the carpet right this minute as we speak. Because it was all coming through London. Because you look at the amount of houses that were bought and never occupied within the centre of London, that were all bought with Russian money.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it was all
they should be sequestering that and taking it all back.
100%. 100%.
You know.
But if you look at the actual City of London itself, the City of London has got its own police.
Yeah.
And you can tell them from the Met Police because the City of London Police got red on their cap.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
It's
subtle differences, but they are different police and different everything. Yeah.
There's a whole.
Yeah, I've heard it. It's like almost like a country within a country, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You could go down the rabbit hole investigating that. You really could.
Yeah.
They're all involved in it.
Well, did they put a cap on CEOs in London or something on their bonuses at some point?
The banks, they put it on to start with, but they've long passed.
Pulled it off, haven't they? They've taken it away now.
I've still got my cap on.
Let's not get going on the caps again because we did that with fucking burning gas earlier.
It's like you look at say for example, I was to start a company tomorrow, and I was to run for a year. What happens? What's the inland revenue going to do? The inland revenue is going to be looking at my income, and they're going to be looking to see how much I'm liable to pay excise duty for them for my annual income, which is fair. And everyone that trades in the United Kingdom knows this. So why don't Starbucks pay income tax?
Why don't Amazon pay?
Exactly. Who's benefiting from this?
Why have Amazon to date not paid tax in this country?
Yep, nor have Starbucks.
Starbucks haven't. And there's quite a few big companies like that.
There's quite a few. Yeah. If you or I were to start a company tomorrow, they would put us in jail if we never paid our income tax. Yeah. Those massive multinational companies get allowed to get away with it.
Yeah.
I think anyone that trades in this country pays tax in this country. That's just that. See, if you don't, you're not welcome in this country. We don't need your money.
Yeah.
Not when it comes at that kind of cost.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I would rather have government-run coffee shops that you know the money was coming back into the system, as opposed to.
You need to go to Russia.
That did sound a bit communist there, but the sentiment.
That sounded extremely communist there.
The sentiments there, it's like I would rather have a coffee company that paid income tax than one that didn't.
If there was a true communist country, it would be all right, but there isn't one. It doesn't exist.
No.
It flies against human nature.
Of course it does. Communism in its idealistic state would be perfect, but it's not. So.
No, not communism. Socialism. That's the one.
See if you put everybody on an island, and basically all you could trade with is your skills. Whether you were a butcher, I was a baker, Crumbly, you were a candlestick maker, Rolly, you were a spice importer, and we all traded amongst ourselves. Our skills become our currency.
Yeah.
You don't need a butcher and a baker because you could sell bacon rolls, and I'll tell you what, you make a fortune.
And once you've got electric,
As soon as that bacon starts cooking, mate, they'll come flocking.
You know, it's like that in an idealistic state where everyone had their own value and their own worth within the society, that they could contribute to the society. So you were a weaver, so I could get cloth from you, and I would give you the bread because of that, and so on and so forth. And there was no money, so there was no financial gain to be made.
So when did money come about then? Because it used to be a bit like that.
Yeah.
Many years ago.
Yep. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure.
Money itself, a long time ago. Because currency used to be in terms of sugar or grain.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
There's always been a currency, and I'm trying to think of when they turned it into actual currency rather than goods, and it was around about
a long time ago,
1300s.
Must be.
It was before I was born.
The discovery of
You was born before 1 o'clock this afternoon. No, sorry.
I would imagine the sort of when they started discovering precious metals as well, like silver and gold and stuff like that, and they decided that this is of value.
Actually, that'd be a good project, wouldn't it be, to find out when actually currency came into effect, because we all used to barter.
Because one interesting fact that I found interesting was you all are familiar with the Knights Templar.
Yeah.
The Knights Templar were the first group to create the traveller's check. So basically, if you were in the United Kingdom and you were travelling to, say, France, you would go to a Knight Templar's branch in the United Kingdom, and you'd hand them your money, and they would write a note with a Templar seal on it, and you would take that to France, and you would hand that over to them, and they would give you the currency there, because they honoured it, because obviously of the organisation that they were.
Wow,
pretty cool.
Well, I didn't know that actually, that they were the inventors of traveller's checks.
The very first traveller's checks from American Express. Yeah.
Now we can travel around with your like credit cards or debit cards that you work with every single day. You guys can come here and just do your shopping, and everything else is normal. It'll just get directly transferred through.
Yeah. But that's worrying in itself, because we're heading down the road of cryptocurrency.
We've had the equivalent of cryptocurrency for years, because
I know, but
years for at least the last 14 years, I've been able to go to other countries and use my credit card as normal, and they just transfer it to pounds and take it out of my account.
Do you know that the Chancellor Rishi Sunak, he signed a treaty and an agreement with regards to cryptocurrency for a new type of cryptocurrency, which is programmable. To let you understand what that would, the implications to that would be, say for example, any government organisation, say the Health Secretary was to turn around and say, we've done a study and people in the United Kingdom need to eat less beef. So when you get paid your wages, and the government had put this mandate in place that you weren't allowed to eat a certain amount of beef, if you started to use your cryptocurrency in the supermarkets, it would only allow you to buy the government recommended amount of beef, and it wouldn't allow you to buy any more than that with your currency. So it's infinitely programmable, and if you don't comply to social standards and you don't comply to social rules, they can then limit what you spend your money on. They do it in China just now.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's how they're functioning in China.
Yeah. Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor of the United Kingdom, signed into that agreement.
Did he?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Muppet.
You should look it up.
He can tell me I can only have 4 bacon sandwiches a week.
Simon, if you look at Rishi Sunak and cryptocurrency on YouTube, it will come up with the whole announcement they made Fell under the radar. Nobody picked it up. Nobody picked it up.
There must have been something else happening that day then when he bought that.
Wimbledon. Probably COVID.
Probably.
Mm.
Right, I've been online for 3 hours 40 minutes. I'm going to bed.
No bother, mate. was a
What
bit
time
of
you
a
guys got there?
a bit of a
It's time
session.
marched.
What time is it over there?
Well, 25 minutes past 2.
It's
Oh, wow.
time that Simon gets his ass kicked when he goes to bed because his wife are going to be angry with him.
Well, fellas, 64, 18, 2, 9, 7 is your lotto numbers for tomorrow.
Excellent. If I win, I might be able to fill the tank up in the bike.
I can finally fill my car up with petrol.
Yeah. Good to catch you guys. I'm glad I was able to sneak in. I didn't know how long my lad was going to be, here for. But like I said, I just got up when I logged on, and I was just going to make a cup of coffee, and then my son rings the doorbell and says, "G'day, how you going?" So yeah. But it's good I was able to jump in anyway.
I'll tell you what, Rowley, it's lovely to see you. It really is. It's great.
Aye,
We love having
absolutely.
you along. We really do.
Bang on.
Right.
All right, gentlemen.
Zed, what you doing the weekend?
Have a good week. Take care, and I'll catch you all later. And everybody in the chat, see you later on.
Yeah.
All the best, buddy.
Hopefully, we'll catch you next week.
We will.
care.
Hopefully.
Take care.
Yeah. Right, Zed, what you doing the weekend? Come on.
Right. So I've got 5 litres of cellulose thinner.
Oh, no.
That I've got a frame to strip the paint off. So.
I don't envy you that. I don't.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'll be all right.
Make sure
Wear a
you do
mask this
it
time.
there.
I know. No, I'll be fine. I've got plenty of masks. So, no, that's one of the things. I'll probably get out on the bike at some point as well. Get a little run. Probably the Sunday. Saturday I'll be round at the bike. So, that's what I'll be doing.
Crumbly?
Sorting out my gardening stuff, working, probably. Depending on weather, of course.
Well, Saturday's going to be shit. Sunday's going to be better. So, and then we've got some warm weather moving in. So, yeah, hopefully it'll be all good.
I want to get my bike out next week because I've got to get MOT on it. So it's run out now.
Well, hopefully Saturday I'm doing absolute jack shit, which is probably good. Probably just as well because it's nearly 3 a.m. So.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be doing a lot tomorrow now.
I'm going to be good for fucking shit, I'll tell you. Sunday we'll be doing the MK bike show, and I'm going to try and do a bit of video and what have you with Red Bomb, and
Good.
see what we can get around there, and there should be some good bikes and what have you there. So hopefully we get some pictures, and we should do some TikTok and some Instagram and what have you, and we'll see how we go. So
look forward to that, man.
It's not often I'll get on the bike, and the wife's going to be with me as well, so I'm going to have to be behaved.
Can't enjoy yourself then.
No, I won't, and I won't do any dodgy overtakes either. So. Actually, I've got some bellends I'm going to put up this week as well. So,
good. Well, see them.
I actually nearly got killed by a white Audi in Birmingham. I'm going to put that one up because that cunt was bang out of order. He ran a red. So
really,
there we go. Yeah.
Just never know.
Anyway,
Simon, I thoroughly appreciate being invited on yet again. Crumbly, fantastic to get on a live stream finally with you. And,
great.
Have a chat.
Been pleasurable for sure.
Yeah, it's been brilliant, man.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's been good to have you guys along. I can't believe we've been online for nearly 4 hours because it hasn't seemed like it.
Time has flown. Time
Yeah.
has flown.
Amazing.
It hasn't seemed like it because I
Oh, I
mean,
know.
yeah, we're a
I
good
thought-
bunch of lads. We've had some good
I-
conversations. haven't
I
we?
think the NSA have flagged up a few things. Oh, wait a minute. They're on to us, guys. They're on to us.
More than likely. More than likely.
Oh,
But there you go.
hey-ho.
Anyway, I shall call it an end. And thank you Thank you guys for joining us. And
Cheers. It's been
thank you, Riley. Thank you, everybody in the ride chat. And thank you for Christopher Hamilton for the earlier chat. It was amusing. And I'll leave that there.
Green
And no. 600,000, 1,400. No, we ain't going there. All right.
Oh, was there 6,000 cc? Was it? Oh, right, that's different.
Oh, it's a chuckle. It's a chuckle. And it's a pleasure to have you guys on. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really do appreciate
Cheers,
it.
man. Thanks very much.
Cheers. Cheers, guys.
Stu, Grumbly.
See ya.
All the best.
And
man.
as I always say at the end of all my videos, keep it rub side down, shine side up.
Yeah. And
Take
watch
care.
what you do with the thinners, Ted.
I know. I'm running out of beer, so who knows? I might just crack it open. All the best, guys.
See you
Have a
later.
box of matches with you. All right.
Take care. See you later.
Take care, guys. All the best.
Bye.
Bye.